And now it's time for Gabbing with Goblins with your host, Griselda.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Come on in, make yourselves comfy.
I spaced out and it scared the heck out of me.
That wouldn't be the first time that's happened to me, darling. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. So, welcome back. Oh my god, thank you. Thank you. You were so wonderful. You're too kind. Welcome back to another episode of Gabbin with Goblins, the only talk show by goblins for goblins.
Of goblins.
Made 100% with goblins. That's very much true. Very, very much true. So come on in, everyone. Now, today we are joined by an absolutely wonderful individual. We have been trying. I know. She is very impressive. I almost lost it a little peek behind the curtain, but during the setup for the show, when I heard that go off out of nowhere, I very nearly cried out with surprise, which let me tell you would not have sounded particularly good on the recording. But as I was saying, we are joined today by GrimhildeVT. Can we get a round of applause for GrimhildeVT? Oh, come on, that's very weak applause. You can do better. There you go. All right. Oh, Grimhild here is an absolutely wonderful artist, a very enjoyable presence on the interwebs, and we are absolutely delighted. Early on, when this show was still in its conception, she very much was going to be one of the first guests that we were going to have on. And I am absolutely delighted to finally be able to have her. So, without further ado, Grimhilds, hello, how are you doing today, darling?
Hi. I'm good. I'm honored to be here. I love being in a show of goblins with goblins, for goblins and around goblins. All of the I don't know what those words are called. All of the words that connect things to other things.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you get all of your different particles of speech or whatever they're called. I honestly do not know. But yeah, you gotta make sure you get your whole bases covered. Now, for those poor uneducated souls in the audience who have never had the pleasure of being in one of your streams before, how would you introduce yourself? Oh,
Well,
Grimhild's audio is all right.
yeah,
I'll run
apparently.
that by.
I could turn my gain up a little,
Let's
but
see.
or down or
There we go. Let's see how
yeah.
this
Let's test.
goes.
Hello. This is a test. Is the audio happening? I think it probably is. I have no idea. My
Uh,
hands are sticking so far out. I just really want to like reach into the table and grab the microphone, which I think
Oh,
is
feel
over here.
free. Feel free. You're more than welcome to. You know what they say. Mi casa is also your house. Feel free to make any use of it. I always tell my friends that whenever I visit them, and for some reason it's very unpopular when you go into someone's house 2 a.m. and they're suddenly so inhospitable.
When it's so funny. I have people come over and they'll be like, "Oh, can I use cup?" And I was like, "I'm gonna force you to use my nicest cup, actually." And the funny part about that is I only own. Actually, wait. I used to own 3 cups. I broke 2 of them. I only have 1 cup now. So they get to use the only glass cup that I own.
So, we now know from that little introductory bit that Grim is the proud owner of a single glass cup. But in addition to that, we're in. Oh my god! Thank you. You're too kind. Although I'll be honest, she deserves it all and more. Don't let her tell you otherwise. Now, we have trapped an unassuming bystander in an elevator. What are you telling them to give them the quick elevator pitch as to what exactly it is you do?
Okay, well, if I have forcibly trapped someone in an elevator, step
This
number
is not a
one,
hypothetical, to be clear.
this is not a hypothetical. I'm not hypothesizing. I have trapped someone in the elevator, and we are cohorts in this crime.
I love you, Hank, but you're not going out until at least the show is over.
Yeah, have you heard the good word of goblins? Because you're about to, whether you want to or not. But, you know, if we play a little good cop, bad cop, of course I threaten him first. Step 2, I tell him about all the fun things I do. I do lots of art. I feel like I'm pretty experimental with a lot of like 2D, 3D art. That my current passion is making like 2.5D illustrations in Blender, which is very, very fun. There's like, it's hard to describe, but it's really, really enjoyable. And I keep trying to get people to be like, you should learn how to do that, and then more people can do it. And then the more people that do it, the more support the program gets, and then the more tutorials there are. Because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I need other people to guide me. But other than that, we play lots of Zelda. I want to start playing Hollow Knight eventually. I really like platforming games and the video game side of streaming. As far as vibes go, mostly chill, mostly quiet, interspersed with a lot of yelling. Yeah, and then we finish off this elevator pitch with another threat against his house, home, and family.
Of course, you gotta sandwich your positivity.
Yep.
Now, one of the first things that I learned about you, and this was actually at my debut, you mentioned something that it turns out we have lots of wheezing. Oh my god, I hope you have your inhalers. Well, one of the first things I learned about you that we have in common is we are both aunties. Is this true?
Yes, it is true. I only recently became an aunt.
Oh my god, congratulations!
My niece is almost 2. Well, she's not almost 2, but she's gonna be 2 this year. And I have a nephew on the way. I don't know about you, but when I met my niece, I was there when she was born. I was like in the next room listening to my sister-in-law yelling while giving birth to an entire child in a pool. I was one of like the first people to hold her. And Baby Tooth, like I met this baby and I was like, I've never loved another living creature more than I've loved this creature in my entire life. And I'm not even like Baby Tooth's mom. It's crazy. It's like the biological like brain chemicals just popping off, being like, you're gonna love this weird scrunkled up little creature. You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah, you know, it's one of those things. I wasn't there for my second niece, but my first niece. Right after work, I went over my sister, God bless her, she was in the hospital, wanted to do one of those very perfunctory, professional medical institution sort of births, but I held her and you know, it's remarkable, you know, it's It's like, you know, it only is a couple of pounds that you hold in here, but it feels so much heavier. And not even in a particularly negative way. It's that immediate connection, the sort of pack bonding instinct that really come down to is where a lot of the civilizations of goblin coins and plenty of other humanoid sorts of folks really find their roots in, you know. You gotta have that instant connectivity with the newborns and all.
Yeah, yeah. It's a fun fact about Baby Tooth. She actually broke my sister-in-law's rib.
Oh my god!
Yeah, kicked her so much, broke her rib when she was still cooking.
Not even out of the oven and she already has a body count? Oh my god, that is incredible.
Yep, my sister-in-law gave birth in a pool in a living room with a broken rib, which she then dislocated apparently during labor. Recently got that fixed.
Well, that's good to hear. Oh my
Giving birth
god.
sounds like a nightmare.
Absolutely. Same. What was it that you said? There was a specific time you said. There was sort of a cultural, not slang, but
a deadly auntie.
What exactly would you say is the definition of a deadly auntie?
It's a common term in like First Nations culture. We call it deadly auntie. It's like an auntie that can basically kill with looks, metaphorically and literally. Often known for laying down the law both on nephews and nieces. Not that I ever could on my niece; she's too cute.
Of course.
But also very renowned for slaying in the bedroom. Also, for lack of a better term, kills in the streets and in the sheets.
Oh my god! Well, if I had known that we were gonna be taking it there, I would have come in with the horns already on.
But yeah, like, she's deadly, eh? That's what they'd say back home. I think I have a sticker, a deadly auntie sticker. I can't, obviously I can't show it to you right now. But yeah, I got a deadly auntie sticker for Christmas.
Oh, that is absolutely wonderful. It's very important. Grim is still a little low. Okay, we'll see what we can do about that. Paying the Furby tax in spirit.
In spirit. I'll turn my gain down a little, but also I wanted to say hi, everyone. Thanks for coming by.
I know, it is absolutely wonderful to see all these new faces in chat. Hello. I see Bato of the Water Tribe, the Sunshine Fox. We've got Calyx Goblin. Hello, everyone. Snazzy Mickey, hello to you too.
Hi, Snazzy.
Hello, Fran. Peculiar. Neither of those tonight, sweetie. The name's Grim. Well, no, wait. Oh my god, I am so turned around. You're Grim, I'm Grizz. Very similar sounds and names, but very important distinction. I'm Griselda. This is Grimhilde. We're on Peculiar's channel. And hello, Astra. Wonderful to meet you as well.
Yeah, B's panning the camera.
Of course, you know, it's important to have creative types involved in creation. Just, you know, they're very talkative, so sometimes it's better to just keep them off mic. I love you.
I posted the link, silly.
But this does bring together y'all, GG. Very true. Now, one thing I do want to say is this is very much a forum-style talk show, so if any of you have questions at any point of the show, please feel more than free to speak up and ask them. Because this is just as much a conversation with all of you as it is with Grim and I. Now, going back to the earlier points, I understand that a lot of your content you've worked in to your cultural backgrounds. I don't know if I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. I believe.
Do your best. I believe in you.
Tanaka?
You know what? You're pretty close. I've heard worse. But yeah, Tanaha.
Tanaha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But yes, it is up to you, obviously. But I have listened in on a fair number of your streams now. I know that it's something you've often sprinkled in language lessons, as it were. There's a project that you have been a part of for a little while. That can we bring it up on the main screen here for just a second? There it is. A Tales of Bone and Ice. I believe this is also something you have worked in elements of your culture into your work.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know or know me and is new to me, I am a proud member of the Tanaha Nation, which is a pretty big nation in the Kootenay region of British Columbia. It also goes all the way down to Montana. It's a really big area. But I started taking language lessons several years ago after one of my uncles passed away. And it was his wish for the language to be preserved and to be learned and to be kept alive. So my mom started taking classes, but she was struggling to attend them due to various reasons, and she invited me to go. So I've been keeping up with it. It's kind of hard. I recently found out I have ADHD, and it's hard to sit down and study for 2 hours after an 8-hour shift at work. But you know what? Even though I constantly feel like I could be doing more, I'm like, you know what? It's more than I was doing before. So sometimes you just have to be compassionate with where you're at and be like, you know what? If you're just learning really little bits at a time, then that's what you're learning, and that's okay. But Tales of Bone and Ice is a podcast that we've worked the language in.
Oh my god, yes, thank you. Please, let the girl speak. Oh my god. Do feel free to go.
Okay. But yeah, Tales of Bone and Ice. I wanted to... I started taking language lessons around the time we started talking about making Tobai. So I was like, you know what, maybe this will be a good way for me to practice and also to sort of make something related to the language that's just going to keep existing, forever, basically. And we're actually, we just recorded the last episode of the first, book or arc or whatever. It's kind of like there's basically three arcs, and this is the first book. 3 chapters? I don't know. Our naming conventions are not consistent.
Oh, still, that's quite an accomplishment. Don't let yourself undersell it.
Yeah, it's been a journey making this podcast and using the language in it. And it makes me really proud. You know, we made something really cool, and arguably I just show up most of the time and play D&D. Play D&D is a bit of bit of a statement because I don't actually know what I'm doing. I've been playing D&D for several years. I still don't know how to play.
Oh, that's all right. Most people, I'll be honest, most people who play any sort of tabletop game, 99% of the time, they don't know everything. They know enough to sort of make it look like they know vaguely what they're doing, but always it comes down to just, is it fun? Does it feel right? Then it works.
Yeah. Chell, who's actually in the chat right now, is the one who edits the podcast.
Oh,
She does-
hello! Thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming.
She does a wonderful job. She also writes all of the music.
Oh.
We have all original music. It's very, very cool. Screams at the DM when the consequences of actions come about. Look, the DM is my brother, and I'm not gonna stop. And I will never
Yeah.
stop.
And you should not. You know
Thank
what?
you. It's my right.
Everyone goes on about how significant others of DMs get preferential treatment, but not enough is said about the rights and, dare I say, the duties of those close to the DM to be antagonistic and playfully challenging.
I was very full of beans in our last session.
Oh.
Very, very demanding, asking lots of questions constantly. But you know what? That's my job. It's the younger sibling energy. I can't turn it off.
Very important.
Somebody's got to do it.
Oh,
but yeah, it's if you guys want to know a little more about Tobai itself, other than like the cultural aspects, which are like I think a really big part of the podcast. But the podcast itself is set in like a post-apocalyptic wasteland, where basically the entire planet has been turned into ice. It starts off with our three adventurers being, called to adventure, and they leave the town that they've been in basically their whole lives and go out into the world to, figure out what's out there and what's going on. My character, her name is Sukunkana, which is a Tanaka word. It means sharp pointed, literally translated.
So she has a very sharp sort of personality.
Yeah, she does, but it's also a Sukunkana is also a type of flower. They're purple and yellow, and they're sort of in like an arrow shape, and that's why it's Sukunkana translates to like sharp pointed, because it's in like a sharp pointed shape. And in English, if you Google it if you Google the flower in English, they're called a shooting star flower.
Oh, that's beautiful. It works so well both ways.
Yeah, it does, because she actually is a druid, and she's a Circle of Stars druid. So it does super work both ways.
Oh, well, that is absolutely wonderful.
And
you know what? I am very glad to see, though, in recent years, that there's been increasing pushes to normalize the use and preservation of indigenous languages. Like, I remember just a couple of years ago, there was that huge blockbuster, Prey, where
I've been wanting to watch Prey.
Yeah, where they have the entire, well, not the entire film's dialogue, but most of it is in, oh my god, this is terrible.
Were they Navajo or were they Cree? I cannot remember.
It has been so long since I actually sat down to look at it.
Hey, look it up. Oh, it's not. It's neither. It's a Comanche.
Oh,
Comanche?
yeah, I've heard it. I think Comanche, but that might be just the white version of that one.
I'm not very familiar with southern tribes, but there's also like there's a tribe I learned the language in college. I can't for the life of me say the actual name of the language in the language, which is incredibly ironic. I took 2 semesters of that language, and I can't even say it in the language. Tanaha at least is easier to say than that one. It's very clicky. It's a and don't even ask me how to spell it. Because I can't and I don't know how.
That is more than all right. And it looks like your editor brings up an interesting and very important point. Tanaha is one of the rarest indigenous languages and doesn't have any dialect relatives. Yeah, so linguistically, this is a very important part because it's languages. They're not static entities. They grow and change and develop, but only in as much as there is use in the general consciousness. So, yeah, it's not just preservation, it's also, in some ways, innovation. It's, in some ways, a way to help it keep growing, too. And I imagine, anyway. I could be talking out of my tuchus right now. I wouldn't know.
No, you're right. Tanaha is a linguistic isolate, is what they're called. So basically, it's a unique language that isn't similar to any other languages. It has words that are borrowed from other languages, like the word for butterfly is kulilu, and that's a word that we borrowed from the Salish. So there is some words that have crossover that we basically just borrowed from other languages. Interestingly enough, kulilu is, I think, the only word in Tanaha that has an L sound because we don't have L in our alphabet.
Fascinating. So, is it spelled? Is it spelled with an L still?
Yeah, it is still spelled with an L. We just don't naturally have L in our alphabet, which is interesting. We do have what's called a barred L, but it does not make an L noise like in English. A barred L sounds like a sound. So, for example, if we said akashlakais, the barred L is the noise in the akashkais. So it doesn't sound like an L.
Fascinating nonetheless, though. L or no L. This, for one, language is not going to be taking the L anytime soon.
It sure isn't, unless it's in one specific word. And yeah, most native languages don't have a written language or a written language.
I suppose that makes sense, though, with its oral tradition, I believe they call it.
Yeah, a lot of it was oral. I think there are some tribes in the West that used a method where they, had a method of arranging sticks. And this was this physical action helped them remember stories because they would arrange the sticks in a certain way, and that would be a physical way for them to remember how to tell a story and what order to tell it in. But I think one of the only languages that initially had or developed its own written language might have been the Inuit, and there are multiple Inuit tribes. But as kind of a broad term. I'm not exactly sure about the history of the written language of the Inuit. I'm not sure when it came about or if it was always there, but it's a very aesthetically pleasing alphabet. I just think that visually it's just very pleasant to look at. I like it looks much nicer than the English alphabet. The Tanaha is written using a Latin alphabet, and it is nonsensible. It would have been better to develop an entirely new alphabet rather than to use the English one, because the English alphabet just does not translate well into indigenous languages.
It really doesn't, though. You know, there's so many symbols and alterations that. One of the main points of having a standardized alphabet is being able to, as a layperson, know exactly what sort of noise it is that you gotta make. And then when you add all these cycles and slashes and slants and underlines, you lose track of how you actually say it, and it becomes indiscernible anymore. I understand what you mean. One thing I am personally curious about, and if the answer is I don't know, that is more than all right. But one linguistic anecdote that I have heard that is one of my absolute favorites is every language that has a word for raccoons, it all comes back to connecting to how they like to wash their food with their little hands. And I'm curious if that's a generality that holds true with
I would
Kanaha
love it
too.
if it was. I'm gonna look it up. I don't know if I can translate it.
If not, that's more than all right as well.
Let's find out. I got my dictionary out.
Let's see. Koga Goblin? You mean me? The name's Griselda Rose, darling. It's more than all right, though. Have you ever read Beetle and Hollow Bones? I can't say I have. I'll have to look.
Also, flashback, I really want to watch it. I just don't watch movies. It's constantly a problem. People are like, oh, have you seen this movie? And I'm like, I haven't seen any movies.
Yeah, I don't know what it is for you, but I know for myself, it's one of those things where there's just something about the limited finality of movies that it's just not as appealing, because like you sit down, you're there for 1 to 3 hours maybe, and then it's just gone, and you gotta just keep it in your memory. And oh my god, I lose so many things in this fakakta noggin of mine already. I can't keep track of one more movie.
Mm-hmm. So man, I wish I could so the word for raccoon is namkatku. But it doesn't have the literal translation in the dictionary. I don't see any, see if namkatku. No, I might have to ask my uncle about that one next time I go to class and ask, because I'm curious about, because Tanaha words, I'm a weeb, okay?
Go on, understandable, you're in good
Yes.
company.
Yes, but like in Japanese, they have words that are just like other words put together that mean something else. And that's how Tanaha is structured too. It's other words put together that mean something else. Like the word I used earlier, which is akashlakais, that means belly button, right? And the word watak means frog. But together, akashlakais watak means mushroom. It means frog's belly button. Which is one of my favorite words.
You know what? I can kind of see that. I suppose if it's an innie or an outie, but
Yeah. That's why frogs don't even have belly buttons.
Oh yeah, they have eggs, don't they?
Yeah. But it's just one of those things. It's also possible that it might be a root word. I think that nam is a word and and might be a different one, and ku might be a third one. But I don't know what root words that they would be. I feel like it's related to water, so it might be about washing.
So you're saying there's a chance. That's
Saying
all
there's a
I
chance.
need for now.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. I love that the unifying factor of all the peoples who have languages that naturally came into contact with these wonderful little goblins of the animal kingdom, looked at them washing their food with their precious little hands and said, "Oh, you really like doing that, huh?" Some sort of
It's
food
also-
washing little boy.
I don't know if they had raccoons around there. I mean, I'm sure they did somewhere, but like, it's sort of like I've only ever seen raccoons in like warmer climates, and by the coast. I've never really seen them in interior areas where it gets really cold with lots of mountains. but
Oh, that's
I
true.
could
You're
also
in,
be-
you are in central, what do you call it?
British
Canada,
Columbia.
yeah.
Well, not central Canada. Central Canada is all prairies.
Mhm.
It's still in like on the east, on the west. It's not on the coast, but it's like in the interior of the province that's on the coast. Imagine the middle of California, except completely different.
Hey, yeah. You know, that covers most of the biomes, I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh my
There
god.
is something funny to say about the word for horses.
Oh?
Let me find the word for horse really quick. There's multiple words for horse, but
A horse is such a good example, though, of how language changes and evolves. Because horses weren't native to the First Nations land, were they?
was actually a type of horse that was indigenous to North
Really?
America. Yeah, we did have horses way
Oh
back
my-
when. They did go extinct, but they actually, interestingly enough, I think there was evidence of horses actually being shipped from North America to Europe and then making it back eventually.
Oh, that is
So yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, we did have horses in North America. They've done a lot of archaeological digs where they found evidence of prehistoric horses in North America. They're like genetically and like their like horse family was distinctly different than European horses.
Fascinating. So,
Mm-hmm.
so, oh my god, that just speaks to how well the language is able to preserve that they. Presumably, then, this was a word that they had going back.
I think it was southern North America that had horses rather than northern North America.
Oh, I see.
So we got horses a lot later, but in southern North America, which is a weird way of saying it, they did have horses longer because I think the climate-wise and land-wise, especially in British Columbia is very, very mountainous. It wasn't ideal terrain for horses. If there were horses in the Canada region, North America, it would have been in the plains. Obviously, because that's more ideal for horses to just exist in general.
Yeah, horses are a very strange, fragile little creature running around on their
Yeah.
little thingies.
The main method of transportation in British Columbia was canoes and traveling by river because basically the entire province is connected by a series of rivers.
Oh, makes sense. You got
so-
all those Great Lakes up there.
Yeah. So they had trade routes that spanned all the way from the coast to the interior of BC and also into the prairies. And trade routes are actually so extensive that that's how they found evidence of basically what's called a smudging shell, which is sort of like basically a seashell, sort of, where you would burn medicines inside of to do like a cleansing smudge. But they got traded all the way from the coast of British Columbia all the way into the interior of Canada, into like Manitoba and the prairies. Which is a really long trip if you don't have a plane.
Oh, for sure. Not to
Mhm,
mention the additional delays you have with weather and all these other environmental conditions you can't really control at all. That is fascinating, though. So, is this the sort of endeavor you picture yourself trying to expand upon in the future? Are you looking to branch off into further projects we should look for this cultural awareness and preservation?
Well, it's kind of funny. I wanted to do like a Miss Rachel style baby show. For
Oh,
language.
yeah.
And I'd be like, Kitsu Kyuket.
Oh my God.
Kasuke in Amantu. And that means hello.
That
Where's
sounds
the
absolutely wonderful.
egg? You know, mostly
Yeah.
because I've got babies in this household, and I'll be like, here, you can watch this.
You know, I think you're on to something there, though. There's this huge glut in the market of YouTube videos that people will throw on for kids because they don't want to have to deal with children. And it's terrible, but it would certainly be an awful lot more productive and enriching for a child to be able to learn more about languages and what have you than just I don't know, like these source film studio projects with Elsa doing the Fortnite dance with Spider-Man or whatever it is they do on YouTube.
What is it the kids like these days? The skibidi toilet?
Yeah,
I've never.
I
have
never
never
seen
seen
that.
it. I
God
choose
willing,
not
I
to.
never will either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? You kids can keep it. When I was 10-year-old, we had the crazy frog, and I don't think that anybody in their 20s wanted to be even aware of crazy frog, and I don't blame them.
So true. I remember the old ways of the Maya he, Maya ha, Maya he, Maya ha ha's.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And also, Chell brings up a point. I do plan on making a language video game. Do
A
I
language
know how?
video game.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to make a video game. I don't have any experience. But basically, it's gonna be like a flashcard game where someone says, like, a voice says the word and you pick the right picture. And that's basically it.
Well, that seems pretty simple. You could,
Yeah.
have you ever used, oh god, what is it called? The REMP system for the Python game engine. They
No.
use it for a lot of graphic novels. It's fairly easy to pick up. You could probably have something set up there. Also, I am so sorry. I hope you have some ad blockers ready, folks. I unfortunately can't mute the ads any longer. They're gonna be here in just a couple of seconds. So sorry again about that.
The curse of the ads.
Oh my god, what do we have here? Let me catch up on chat while we're already doing the ad break, since people won't be able to hear us none anyhow. Let's see what we have here. Beetle and Hollow Bones. I have not heard of that one. I'll have to look into it. I don't think I've mothered anyone, but you know, I might have forgotten about it. I found out the alphabet that's used for many Inuit languages wasn't actually developed until the 1800s and is used for a multitude of languages, including Cree, Inuktitut,
Inuktitut?
Ojibwe, and Algonquin. Interesting.
It's a very pretty alphabet.
Oh, it is. Just looking at, let's see if we can find that, actually.
just looks nice. It just looks pretty. Maybe I'm just tired of looking at the English alphabet.
Oh, this is very
Isn't
interesting.
it nice to look at?
Yeah, there's something about the very simple geometric shapes involved. Oh, yeah, I can see I can see what they're cooking with this. Let's see, I love movies. That's actually why I like movies. It usually has an end, not like a show where it could be cancelled and never actually have an ending. Fair point. Fair
See, the thing is,
point.
I don't watch TV either. It takes a lot of effort to get me to sit down and watch television or movies. Like, try sitting me in a room. Try putting me in a situation. Impossible.
Absolutely. If I can't sit down and be doing 3 other tasks at the same time.
Exactly.
That is what makes podcasts so good, though, I suppose. It only takes up one of your senses so you can use all the others. Let's see, I kinda get you. You watch the movie and that's it. If you have ADHD, it takes a lot to get into a story and see it through. If I get into a series, there's a good chance I'll marathon at least part of it. At the same time, sometimes you do just want that one-off little thing, you know? I think the MCU, I don't know what that means. I assume it's maternal care unit. You know, you got
Yeah, it is.
you got the neonatal intensive care unit, then you got next door the maternal care unit. Did so well because it came out in this age of box set TV. You watch 1 or 2 movies, it's not all discarded, you know, they continue to exist in a wider universe. It has its drawbacks. Well, I've never seen a movie about the maternal care unit, but I'm sure it would be very emotionally taxing.
I'm sure that there's also, like, you know, like medical dramas about it too.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, God, they could make an entire season just with all of the issues of postpartum depression and whatnot, I imagine. See, in terms of language, Romanis, the Romani language, not Romanian, has even though Romanian is possibly the highest percentage of Roma and there's loan words, it's confusing, is really interesting. It's a Hindi derivative. Interesting. I know there was a lot of that Indo-European cultural exchange going on there. Heck, I'm actually learning Python. Well, there you go. It looks like you can ask Astra for some ideas if that's perhaps a system to use there. Massive Clock Union?
You know, MCU.
Oh, yeah. I suppose Big Swiss Watch has got the Clock Union by the cojones.
Oh, I bet man, you think they let their employees unionize?
No, in this market, absolutely not. Learn Scheme. I'm not sure I follow. I assume it's some sort of engine, though in general,
Some kind of coding.
I imagined learning how to scheme would be a valuable life school.
I was born scheming.
Mysterious Kukunkana universe. Oh, okay. Somewhere.
It's Sukunkana. That's my girl. That's my baby.
Yeah, so that's where Sukukana gets her powers. The mysterious Sukukana universe is the story domain and all that.
Yeah, an inside joke. It's where Sukunkana is a surfer dude.
Oh, that is
and
absolutely
turned that
wonderful.
ocean into a beach.
Oh my.
But yeah, language is important to me. Again, you know, I've got the ADHD, so it's hard for me to like I started off hyper focused on it, and it was great. All of my energy went into the language, and then my hyper focus shifted to something else. But it's like I try really hard to maintain that energy and that interest and that passion, even though it's not like giving me the good dopamine that my brain craves.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the biggest struggles.
Hmm.
A- As another adult woman that has to deal with those sorts of ADHD, ADD associated expanded universe spectrum conditions, losing the intense sort of passion you got for something, it can be incredibly disheartening. It, I'm curious, how do you find you were able to deal with it yourself?
Part of it was that um this sounds funny, but I feel like socially obligated to show up because I'd been going for so long, and like my very elderly uncle who is like in his late 70s is running the class on Zoom, and I feel like I have to show up. I don't want to let him down. But so that's part of it. But also like I think that motivates me a lot is teaching my niece and my future nephew the language. Because growing up, I didn't know any of the language. I wasn't exposed to a single syllable of the language
Mm.
for most, well, pretty much all of my childhood. I think possibly the first time I was even like exposed to our culture, I was probably like 12 and getting into my teen years. Um, and there's a whole historical nonsense stuff that happened, but
Oh, for
um,
sure.
it's really important for me that she grows up knowing more about her culture and where she comes from than I did, because it's just an important part of who she is, and she should, grow up having like a solid sense of identity and all different things that encompass her.
You
And the
are
same goes for my future
so
nephew.
you are so right though. Like genuinely genuinely one of the greatest crimes historically that the uh, European Eurocentric cultures who have colonized, well, have colonized quite a lot, let's be fair. But in this case specifically, who have colonized the Americas, they robbing someone of a culture is a truly terrible thing, because you rob them not just of a sense of identity, of a history, of a shared communal identity and sense of communal connection with people. It's a very dehumanizing, depersonalizing sort of very insidious form of colonialization. So, in many ways, this is an incredibly vital and culturally radical way to approach that. It's very important that we all engage, even if it's only in terms of being able to acknowledge the privilege granted by the system, the inherent bias in terms of cultural landscapes, and making sure that those who have historically had those disadvantageous positions are able to maintain what culture they have and expands upon it again.
Yeah, definitely. It's like in its own way, like trying to learn the language, and even if she only learns one word, that's more than I grew up knowing, Like even it's just a little bit. She's been to more ceremony in her whole life than like than I'd been in the first like 15 years of my entire life. And she's only been alive for almost 2 years.
Hmm.
Um and it's an interesting experience because getting into it, like watching her go to all these ceremonies, and like she even had like a naming ceremony, and she was sung in during her birth, and a bunch of other stuff like that, and it was incredible. It was deeply moving. It was very important. But there's a part of me inside of me, which is like one of those things that it's good to recognize these kind of things in yourself, where I was jealous of her. You know, I was like, I didn't get that. I didn't do that. I didn't get a naming ceremony when I was a kid. I didn't have this like family around me or whatever. And then there's a separate like stronger part of me that was just so happy that she got to have all these things that I didn't, because I was like, yeah, she does get to have all these things. And I'm going to be there for her, and I'm going to make sure that she does get these things and that is a part of her life, because I don't want her to feel insecure in herself, like growing up and thinking, okay, I'm indigenous, but am I actually, like, do I belong in indigenous spaces? Because I don't feel like enough of who I am to justify being in that space. When the fact of the matter is that just being who you are and knowing that you're indigenous and identifying with that is enough. You don't have to be super traditional. You don't have to speak the language. If you're indigenous and you feel that way in your heart and you want to be connected to who you are and to your people, that's all you need, you know? Like, there's no single correct way to be an indigenous person. Some people might tell you that there is, but there's not. You just are who you are, and if it's an important part of your identity, then that's it. That's all you need.
That is so true, though. You know, I think you hit the nail on the head. That it is not something you should feel guilty for. That sense of jealousy. You are allowed to grieve the fact that you were not able to have the childhood experiences that you necessarily would have valued based off your modern experiences. That's totally okay, but as you said, the important thing is to be able to reframe that. You did something, so others, your niece, your nephew, won't have to. That you will be able to help them have an easier time connecting with this unifying part of all of your lives. And that really is very beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, you know, that bit about identity applies to like a lot of different parts of anyone's identity. Like, a lot of people struggle with feeling like they're not like queer enough to fit into queer spaces, or they're not, you know, even like in more like even in more like, this sounds weird, but in like more like heteronormative or like situations where someone feels like, oh, I'm not, you know, I'm not girly enough to hang out with the girls, or I'm not manly enough to go to the gym, or other things like that. It's like, well, again, the strongest sense of identity comes from yourself and believing that, you know what, I am this thing, I belong in this space because it's part of who I am, you know?
So true.
There's, of course, something for being said for, you know, feeling safe in a space when other people are hostile. But that's a whole different thing.
Oh, for sure. I don't. I feel. I agree with you there that no one should have to justify the feelings they have of their own internal identity. If you want to be something, if you feel like you are something, then, well, you 9 times out of 10 you are already those things. Let's see. You've got a lot of friends in Canada. You go to a small online mosque prayer social group for weirdo gay Muslims. That's a fun group. And we do a land acknowledgement at the start. We splinter off a larger group which had issues later on, so we left. And there used to be First Nation elders, etc., invited in to give talks, smudge, etc. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, that sounds like it was really well done. So I'm of two minds about land acknowledgements. They can be done right and they can be done wrong.
For those of us who
Yeah.
aren't as familiar with the terminology, from what I generally understand, it's sort of, an acknowledgement that lands does not really belong to anyone, but there are those who have much more meaningful and deeper and longer standing connections with particular regions. I don't know how correct that is, but
Yeah, that's basically right. Basically, it's generally it's an acknowledgement of being on unceded land, which means that basically it could be like any establishment acknowledges they are on the land of the whatever group of people that this land used to be the traditional home for, that was forcibly taken from them, like land they didn't willingly give up. And sometimes I think that they're really dumb. Because basically they'll it became, at least where I used to live, it became like a very like performative PC statement that every business would make. They'd be like, okay, I'm at a variety show and they're like, we want to acknowledge the land that we're on. I'm like, okay, to what end? Are you giving some of your proceeds to the indigenous group? Like, are you just saying this because everyone else is saying it and you don't want to be the one who's not saying it? Yeah, because it's gotten to the point where everybody is saying it, so that's like, you have to say it now. Like, there's no meaning behind it anymore because everyone is saying it because that's the PC thing to do, not because they understand the words that they're saying or understand the deeper meaning or even care. They're just saying it because they do. Like, I've talked to people, bless her heart, like, she truly did want to learn. She was like, hey, I have a question, because she was like not from Canada, she was from a different country, and she was like, so why do we say that? And I was like, okay, well, like, someone should have explained this to you, but I doubt any of them know. So I was like, well, here's a general history of Canada. It's not great, and that's why you say that, because you're acknowledging that this land was stolen, and that and that's it. Like it's not being like, okay, thanks, indigenous group, for letting us be here. No, it's, hey, sorry that everything's awful and that the society you live in pushed you out of your lands, and now we're having a comedy show. like sometimes it's done right, sometimes it's not.
It's very important to make sure you're not just saying something so you got the right dog whistles you're blowing.
Yeah. Sister Rose has it right, the corporatization of it too. Like, me out there seeing like a bank doing a land acknowledgement, and I'm like, okay, like, what else?
Yeah, like,
are you giving us some money?
Exactly.
I don't think you are.
If you're doing it from a position
of
power, you can't just say things. You gotta actually do something.
Yeah, exactly. It's just words. It's just the PC thing to make them look good on paper. But it's just Yeah. But yeah, language is really cool, and I'm very passionate about it. I want to teach my niece. I've successfully taught strangers on the internet Knaha words via my podcast, which is really fun. When I was telling my uncle, and I was like, yeah, my friends who live in the UK know Knaha words. Like, all the way in a whole other continent. Yeah, it's great. It's just fun to see. It's like, hey, man, and then I went to him and I was like, you see, it's working. If we can get the teenagers to listen to this, they're gonna learn some language. We can get the youth in on this.
Oh, the youths. The youths are unfathomably powerful. The younger
They
a person
are.
is, I look at my
They
nieces.
terrify me.
She's 5 years old, the other's 2 years old, and I say, oh my god, you terrify me. I will someday be at your complete mercy, and I can only hope you choose to act in kind then.
Yeah, I was at the mercy of my 1-year-old niece today, actually.
Oh?
So have you seen related but unrelated? Have you seen Owl House, the TV show?
I have, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I love Owl House. You know Hootie?
Oh yeah, the
Okay.
owl that's actually a
Yes.
worm. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so we have like a tunnel, like one of those like tunnels that you can crawl through if you're small enough.
Yeah, the little collapsible tunnel, yeah.
Yeah, and I put it around my waist, and I would like lift my arms up, and then the thing would extend, and I'd look like Hootie in that I'm just a worm. So there's the visual. I'm setting up the scene. So there's this game that apparently she likes where you pretend to be a worm and you like eat her. And I was doing that, and I'd put her in, and then she'd give me a hug because she only wanted to hug me inside of the worm.
God.
Incredibly cute, incredibly cute.
Oh my
And
God.
she was having a great time. And I was doing that for a while, and then she tripped and she fell over and she fell on the dog. And he's a tiny old man.
Oh no.
He's little and he's old, and he yelped and he was upset about it. And I was like, "Oh, buddy." So I brought him over and I was like huddling him, and he crawled inside of the tunnel with me. So I was like, "Okay, fine." And he got himself real comfortable immediately because he's actually having one of those old man episodes wherein he stumbles around and can't walk properly. He has those periodically, so he's having he has old man disease right now. So he crawls in and he gets comfortable immediately. He's sitting inside of the thing. So I'm like pinned down kind of by this little dog because like it's like over my torso. And I can't see anything. And I'm like petting him and I'm like, "It's okay, buddy." And then I'm listening and I hear rustling.
Oh
And
dear.
the baby is quiet, and I'm like, she's up to something. I can tell. And like her mom is like in the bathroom, like she just left to have a pee. Like very briefly to just go piss.
So all this was over what, like 3-5 minutes maybe?
Yeah, 2 even.
Oh
but
my
like, and then I heard rustling, and I was like, "What is she doing?" I couldn't quite get up because I had this dog, and I was trapped in this like tube. And then I saw her little feet lifting off the ground because she'd crawled on top of the coffee table, which she's not supposed to do.
Oh my God, a criminal.
But I couldn't get out of the tube because I had a dog in the tube. So all I could do was reach my hands out, and I grabbed her ankle, and I grabbed her arm, and I started yelling for Chell to come help me, and she was just like on top of the table, and I'm pinning her down, just like grabbing her leg, and I've got this dog in this tube.
My God.
And I can't see anything. And then I'm like yelling, and Chell's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Help me!" And she came out. And I feel like visually, from the perspective of the other person looking down at like a worm, like doubled over with like arms sticking out, holding a baby on a coffee table. It was probably pretty funny. And then she came out, and I was like, "I'll explain. I have a dog in here," and he was just sitting peacefully, having a great time. So I'm already at her mercy.
Oh my God. That is absolutely delightful. You know,
I love her.
That child is going places. Give it a couple of years, she's gonna be the one running your Twitch channel.
Oh, probably. If not the world.
So true.
Her and her baby brother taking over the planet. We've been manifesting baby in her life by teaching her how to play with her little baby doll, so that she can perhaps conceptualize a baby in the house.
Very important. You know, that's the thing. Babies can be very territorial. You gotta make sure that they don't end up clashing over there. Oh, I, for one, welcome our table worm overlords. Wonderful, wonderful. We have a question from the audience. When will Mr. be back from his journey?
I have no idea. I wanted to make a low poly Mr. model. For those of you who don't know, I used to have this like character on my channel called Mr. He was a cat, like just a cat photoshopped onto the body of, what was his name? He did all the Western movies. Clint Eastwood? Yeah, a cat photoshopped on the Clint Eastwood's body.
Okay, go on. I'm listening.
I would do it like I would do an accent. Howdy, it's Mr. And he made cat puns all the time.
Oh my god, you're gonna give me the vapors talking like that.
His full name. My name's Mr. Johnny the Cat Whiskers the Second. You can call me Mr. Johnny was my father's name.
Oh my god, that is incredible. I absolutely adore this already.
I want to do a redesign of Mr. because I realized, like, later on, like, after I'd been streaming for a while, and I was like, I don't know a lot about Clint Eastwood. Turns out he's a huge racist.
Yeah, you know, it turns out a lot of those sorts that were connected to Western films. What with the exploitation and degradation of a lot of not-white people.
Yeah, so I was like, you know, I kind of want to redesign Mr. and get away from literally being on Clint Eastwood's body to just having his own vibe. Just to separate myself from that unfortunate fact.
Yeah,
but
you know, I'm sure that's very doable, though. You are, after all, a very accomplished artist as well.
Yeah. I've been working slowly on getting better at making models. I haven't made yet like a completed humanoid 3D model like from scratch. But I'm getting there. I made a bunch of weird little dudes. That's for sure.
That's certainly true. I think the last one I saw you officially release was that their ghost model last October?
The ghost is actually available. If anybody wants to be a ghost, it's free on Booth.
Booth. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, let me bring up the ghost so I can show. Oh god, that was weird. Give me 1 second. Let me find it.
If there are any spirits here in the audience, let your presence be known, why don't you? Oh my god, look at that! That's caught in 4K, folks. We got it. Proof of ghosts. Ghosts are real.
Goblin ghost hunting team.
Not clickbait at all. Real, genuine ghosts.
Spirit of fashion!
Oh, absolutely. Oh my god. Oh, this is such a wonderful little model, though.
It has really cute little emotes, too. I wonder if I'll... Yeah,
we got some heart.
Let me turn off the ambient occlusion. It makes it look weird. Yeah, so it's got this one, and I think the eyes blink different when it's set on this.
Oh, yeah, they do.
We've got the little angry expression, also very cute. the little gloomy one has these little spinny things.
This poor little deer.
This is my favorite one. The animation is just so snappy, and it just feels nice, you know?
It really
And
does
also,
work.
this one just likes little flowers.
Yeah.
I like based it off of the Animal Crossing emotion with the flowers.
Oh yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah, and cowboy hat.
Of course, as one needs.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, this is just absolutely darling, though.
Yeah, it was an interesting to figure out how to make. It's like this is model I think has the smoothest animations of the models that I've made from scratch. It does have a mouth that's made everything a lot easier.
It has
took
a
me long
mouth?
time. It does not have a mouth.
Oh, I thought. Oh,
Nope.
oh my god, I thought you said it had a mouth, and I was very concerned where it could be.
No, there's nothing in there. But it took me a while to figure out how to make the textures work, because this is actually they're 2D. The eyes are rather than 3D. It's like on a 2D plane.
I see.
Yeah, it took a lot of trial and error to figure out how to make that work, because you know how like retro video games generally have like 2D textures for the face, like the eyes and the mouth and stuff, which is kind of the style I want to go for, rather than a lot of 3D models have like actual 3D geometry for their facial expressions and eyes, which is fine, but it's just not the stuff that I want to do. But it's definitely every new model I make, I learn something a little different. I get a little more efficient, and I get a little closer to, you know, making the kind of stuff I want to make.
Giant goose is great too, says Bato.
Have you seen the goose?
Oh my god, hello.
Yeah. We can also do a little dance.
Oh my god, that is absolutely delightful! Oh my God. Is it difficult as an artist to peak so early in your career?
It truly is.
Oh,
I make a model, I'm like, I don't know how to do better than this, and then I make something else, and I'm like, damn, I guess so. Oh god.
Was that a truck?
Yes.
What on earth happened? Someone throwing trucks at you?
Yeah, so that's how big the duck is.
Oh my god, that is a very large... Oh my god.
Yeah. But the redeems on my channel still work, so people have been going over there and using them.
Oh my god, you mischievous little so-and-so. I'm gonna have to teach you some manners, I suppose.
But yeah, I thought about making the duck smaller, but it kind of became like an inside joke that he was gigantic. So he sort of just stayed that way. I think he was one of the first. Actually, he was, I think, the first 3D model I made all by myself. And like rigged and made a functional thing that could be used.
Oh, it came out very lovely regardless.
Yeah.
You mentioned something earlier that I was curious. Oh my god, it wiggles too. The wiggles, its best quality. You mentioned something earlier about 2.5D. How does that work exactly?
Oh yeah, of course. Let me. So okay, so Blender is a very, very cool program. And I can just send you a YouTube video as an example.
Sure, I can take a look at that.
Yeah, I have a reel. I made it a while ago. I just have to find the video. Give me one moment.
Of course, take your time.
Let's see here.
while she's
So-
doing that, I hope everyone is enjoying yourselves. If you got any questions, feel free.
There, I sent it to you.
Alright.
But grease pencil's very, very cool. Basically, you draw, you draw something like you normally would. And then in grease pencil, you can basically separate the layers like you would, like you separate the layers out, so it kind of gives it a live 2D like look. Where it kind of looks 3D and it kind of moves independently of each other.
Here we go. I think we got it up on the main screen.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
haven't-
god.
I haven't put any like recent stuff up on there, but I think I made this sometime, let's see, 9 months ago. Wow. That was that first one is a gift I did for my best friend, Luna. Those are our Final Fantasy
Aw.
14 characters together. We've known each other since we were 9 years old.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Absolutely worth celebrating. I don't know if I know anyone who I knew when I was that young. Holy moly.
Yeah, we're really lucky to have held on to that friendship for so long. But grease pencil, it's just very cool. I want more people to do it. Like a lot of the stuff, like, it's some of the elements of the things I do are 3D and some of them are 2D. Like the ocean, that's 3D. Most of the drawing is all in 2D. Some of it is 3D objects with outlines on them. You can do some very, very cool stuff in Blender, and whenever I watch new tutorials or work on something or start a new project, I get really excited about it because I'm like, man, this is so much work, but it's gonna end up being so cool.
That can honestly be one of the most difficult parts, though. How do you find, with all of the tremendous amounts of creative work that you get up to, you're able to continue being able to move forwards with it all? Like, with all the projects, how do you stay motivated and stay engaged in them?
Well, with the ADHD, generally I just follow my heart. It's easier when you're not doing commission work to be like, commission work, like, yeah, I can get through it and I can feel excited about it, but it's also like, it's work, it's for money, and I'll do it. And I'm very grateful for all the commissions I've ever gotten. But these days, now that I'm just a silly little guy, I just follow my heart with whatever I want to do. If it's bringing me happiness, then I'm working on it. That's why I made like 13 goobers. Over Christmas break, I made so many goobers because that's what was making me happy at the time.
What are goobers exactly here?
You know the picture that you used for the promotion image?
I think we may
Yeah.
actually have that right here. Where did I put that?
mhm.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, look at this little one.
But basically, I made a whole bunch of those. I'm actually working on a 3D version.
Oh, that is
There
gonna...
they go.
Is it also going to have that bouncing, squishing for the tour?
Yes.
Oh, that is gonna be absolutely
Yes.
wonderful.
But I made a whole bunch of those for a bunch of different people just for fun because they were really easy to make. And so, yeah, see, look, Vato's collected 3 of them so
My
far. It
God,
looks.
that is adorable.
Yeah, I made a whole gaggle of them, and it was really easy because in Blender, basically I animated it one time, and I had the base, and all I had to do was change the hair, and the clothing details, and then bada bing bada goober. So it's just like a really quick, easy thing to do for like a bunch of people, just for fun.
Oh, that is absolutely delightful. You know, I have been telling the promotional and the production offices that they added all these new animated emote slots. You gotta be doing something. You can't just let your emotes languish around all
I
the
didn't
time.
even notice that there were any. Like, I missed the memo. And then when I found out, I was like, oh my god. And I threw in like a whole bunch of animated emotes. And even some that were like didn't need to be animated. I was like, I don't care, I'll shake it.
Yeah, you know. Sometimes it's just easier to do something, anything, and then if it works, wonderful. If it doesn't, well, you only threw something together. It don't matter.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
looks like
like
we
for
got
like just
those there.
for keeping up with like art in general, I had a period of time where I wasn't doing any art for like 2 years, maybe 3 years. Um Probably like in my like early to mid 20s. Um and it's like I got to a point where with my art, like when I was like in my early 20s, I got to a point where it's like anytime I did anything, I always felt like it wasn't good enough. Like it didn't matter what I was doing. I felt like I'd reached a point where I wasn't learning fast enough or I wasn't making things that I liked enough. Like I would make something and arguably it would be an improvement because every time you make something new, you learn something. But it got to a point where I was like, this isn't what I envisioned it to be. This isn't what I want it to be. And rarely as an artist do you make something that equals what you imagined it to be.
Mm.
It's an unbeatable race against your mind and your skill level. But when I was younger, it just got to a point where every time I made something, I hated it so much that I couldn't stand to do art anymore because it just made me so unhappy that every time I made something, I tested it or I hated like how it looked and I never got anywhere. I never finished anything because I couldn't stand doing it anymore because it was so discouraging and so upsetting for me that I couldn't make something as nice as I wanted it to be. So there was a good, couple years where I just didn't do anything at all. Because I don't know. It's also like, the big depression.
Mm.
The Depresso Express. But it got to a point where it's like, I really like making art was such an important part of who I am as a person. And I really enjoyed doing it. And I wanted to do it again, but I couldn't start drawing again because it was too much for me. I was like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to have fun doing this. Like every time I tried to start drawing again, I'd end up in that same cycle of me being like, this is awful and I hate it. And I don't want to do this because I suck at this and I'm terrible, right? Like kind of like a vicious cycle of wanting to do art, but at the same time hating the entire process.
Mm.
So I started in baby steps where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do a bunch of stuff I don't know how to do. So I had to reteach myself how to enjoy the learning process and how to enjoy making art and having to like force myself to do things I had no business doing.
That is very smart, though, you know. I think you're underselling the intuitive solution there because, if if you're always holding yourself to impossible standards with the things you know how to do, if you go into it knowing that, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing here, anything that I produce is already exceeding expectations. Oh, thank you for the hydrate, Bell.
Yeah, I needed it. It's so dry here. But yeah, it's like I had to reteach myself how to enjoy creating stuff, and that meant allowing myself to make a whole bunch of mistakes and not know what the hell I'm doing and to just goof around. Like I started doing like polymer clay sculpting and I tried button making and I did like weird little paintings. I made like these super awful like sort of like erasers that you're supposed to bake in the oven, and then you have
Oh,
little eraser
yeah,
creatures that
yeah.
you made. They turned out horrible. They all melted, but it was so funny. Like, I don't know what I did wrong, but they all melted and they were not functional erasers. They were just little melted animals.
Oh my god.
I did mini painting and I drew maps for D&D. And like I did all sorts of stuff that I had no idea how to do. I did felt work and like made dioramas and just did a bunch of stuff, and I was like, you know what? It's okay if I mess up because I'm new at this. And I'm just having fun with the process. And it got to a point where, like, yeah, I'd watch tutorials, but I'd be like, you know what? Let's just goof around and find out. You know, let's just do stuff, and then we'll just get what we get out of it. And eventually I got to the point where I was like, I think I can draw again because I'm okay with just finding out what happens when you just try stuff. You know? And overall, I think it helped, like, free me from the chains of my own fear of perfectionism by just being like, yeah, I made it. It's not, like, perfect, and it's not the best thing I've ever made, but it was fun, and that's okay, because that's what art should be, is fun.
Oh, that is absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Yeah, I always tell that, especially to, like, new artists or people who are, like, struggling with their art, to be like, you know what, it should be fun, and if you're in a rut, you know, genuinely, just try something that you ain't got no business doing. Go out and spray paint something.
Make sure that no one sees you spray painted if it's
Yeah.
not technically yours. Oh,
Exactly.
looks like we have some questions from the
Mhm.
audience. Odin46 asks 2 questions. First, what is your favorite color?
Pink or purple? They're pretty good.
Solid. Alright, well, we can tell by your Duxona's attire
Oh, I forgot I was a
here.
duck still.
You know, honestly, that's the trouble with shapeshifting.
Truth.
And the second question here is, if you have one, what is your favorite folktale from your tribe?
Oh, there are some interesting ones. I don't actually know that many legends. I did buy the legend book. I just haven't had a moment to sit down and read it. Also, it's gigantic.
A legend book? Is there a specific title?
It's just let's see. Where did I put it? Where is it? That's the dictionary. This is I don't know. It's just here it is. It's just called the Kootenai it's just called Kootenai Legends. That's all. It's just a compilation of stories from the region that was put together. But I think one that is interesting, there's a story, I don't remember what it's called, but my uncle told it to me once, where Chickadee one day she's basically sitting on a riverbank, and she sees some moose come by, and Chickadee goes to the moose and she's like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Can you carry me across the river? And the moose are like, can't you fly? Why don't you just fly across the river? And Chickadee's like, I'm so tired. Can't you carry me?
It's a moat.
So she eventually convinces them to carry her across the river. And once across the river, she kills the moose.
Oh my god, this is a very powerful little bite.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Like, this is a powerful little bird. So she kills the moose. And then she's like, nice, I hunted this moose, I got him. So she goes to her grandma frog, her grandma Watak. She says, Grandma, I caught a moose. I got this moose. And grandma's like, good job. We should get to work tanning the moose and preparing the meat, etc. So they get to work doing that, and then some kakin come by. Kakin means wolf. The wolf comes by and he's like, "Hey, so you've got like a moose there," and Chickadee's like, "Yeah, we do. Um, and then I think I can't quite remember how the rest of it goes, but I think that they end up tricking the moose, not tricking the tricking the wolves, because the wolves, of course, want the moose for themselves. So she uses her cleverness, which she's already exhibited by tricking the moose into carrying her across the river, because, of course, a little chickadee can't carry a moose across a river. She had to get him to the other side first. Yeah. And then she basically tricks the wolves' kids into running off and collecting things so that they can prepare the hide of the moose. They're like, "Oh, I need you to go get the knives and the tools that we need." So while they're away doing that, they string up the moose in the tree so that the kakin can't reach the moose. And and then the wolves come back and they're like, "Hey, what the hell? You said we could have it if we went and got that stuff." And then she was like, "Oops, I lied." And they're like, "Well, we're gonna kill you." And she's like, "No, you ain't." And they start throwing rocks at the kakin until the rocks land in their mouths and they choke to death and die. And I think that the moral of the story is be clever, and ruthless.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, I feel like if you're able to kill a moose, then you sort of already have killed the apex predator of the environment. A wolf, that chickadee could have just snapped that wolf's neck between its little wings.
Yeah. But a lot of legends, they also function as lessons for language. And I can't remember, I couldn't tell you the exact lesson that's in this one, but basically Chickadee like says something incorrectly in the language, and part of the story is Grandmother Watak correcting her. It's like she just basically misuses a connector word or something like that, and Grandma's like, "No, you say it like this instead of in baby talk." And also other things like, "Oh, these are the names of the tools that you use to do this with the carcass," or "This is the order in which you do this thing." As well as being entertaining, they also served as lessons for how to approach things in daily life.
Yeah, that's a very important part of folklore that I think a lot of people forget. It's not just for education or for entertainment. It's very much also, I suppose I already talked myself backwards there. It's not just for entertainment or for some deeper spiritual purpose. Oftentimes it's just, hey, here's how you should be acting on a regular basis. Here's the things you should be doing, how you should do them, what to not do. Like, it's something of a closed cultural thing, so I won't use any of the exact language, but it's like the W creature in some of the First Nations folklore. It's like, yeah, this is a bugbear, so to speak, within the understanding this group social psychology of the tribe, but it's also just a reminder of, hey, you know what would be pretty messed up? Eating someone just to survive.
You know,
don't do that.
That's not good.
No, do not do a cannibal.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting to see the different kind of stories that exist out there. Like pretty much every tribe has some sort of boogeyman kind of figure. I can't remember, but I remember I can't remember what they're called, but the Inuit have a story about sort of a boogeyman type figure, which basically is a warning tale to children, where basically like, hey, don't go near this kind of ice because then they're gonna get you. They're gonna put you in their coat and they're gonna take you underwater and you're gonna die.
You know that it's so true. Like I remember growing up, my mother, God bless her, she's not dead. I just, as a cleric, have to say that now and then. God bless her. She grew up in the Emerald Isles, and culturally they have all sorts of things, but an awful lot of those bugbears, bugaboos, ultimately is just, hey, if you go too close to the water, they will drag you in and drown you. And it's a very simple cross-cultural sort of understanding with those sort of things. Same role.
Trying to just get kids to not mess around too much in dangerous areas.
Exactly.
Yeah, like we had one. I'm also part. I'm Tanaha, but I'm also Stolo. Stolo is a Coast Salish tribe.
Oh.
Also in BC, but closer to the coast. And we also had a story. I can't remember his name either. But basically, it was like this absolutely. We had pictures of him. They used to do masks and have makeup for this creature. Absolutely horrific to look at. Like, I saw a picture of one of the relatives dressed up as him, and I was like, that's freaky as hell. If I was a child and they told me that this man was going to kidnap me if I went in the woods by myself, I would never go into the woods by myself.
Oh, for sure.
Because it is terrifying. I would never. Like, it was horrific. It was like uncanny valley energy, but like the worst kind of uncanny valley. But yeah, like exactly. It's just one of those things that kind of just exists in all sorts of cultures. It's a story that says, hey kids, you know that dangerous thing that you want to do? You're gonna get kidnapped and killed.
Essentially more rules and easy to remember lessons. Exactly, yo.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you never hear about those sorts of boogeymen being things to aspire to, though. That's something I feel like cultures could use more of. Give us some folklore of random creeps and crawls and bugbears and all those boogeymen, but make it something to aspire to. Like, give us a boogeyman who is very good about making sure to sort out the recyclables properly. Something like that, you know?
You know, I think that in Japan they have a lot of weird cryptids and gods that actually are in charge of that kind of stuff.
That's very true. That's very true. We've got another question here. What is this emote? I never know what it is, so, oh my god, well, I can't exactly show this on stream. It's not profane or anything, it's just I don't know how to.
I think I have it. I could send you the file.
Sure.
Let me find her.
It is a very puzzling little thing. It is somewhat menacing,
Sure is.
I will say. Oh, it looks like we do have an ad that is starting in just about a minute.
Well, I've gotta sift through all of my files anyway.
Yeah, we'll take this time. If you need to, feel free to get up, stretch. We'll be back in just a moment. Don't you worry about it.
I think it's in my other drive. Let me check. I have to clean up my files one day. Will it be today? No. Will it be tomorrow? Also no. Here she is. There she is.
Okay.
It's a purple sass cow or something.
Let me see about getting this up on the main screen here. No, that's not it. No, that is it, but not the right window. Okay, let's put this here. Alright, so what exactly would you say we are looking at here?
A witch?
A witch!
A witch!
Okay.
This is a drop in the bucket of the lore behind the witch. So so there's this thing on my channel you can throw at me. It's called an ethical ghost jar. You may or may not have seen it before.
An ethical ghost jar.
Yes.
Okay, I'm listening.
And that is an in-joke from... there's this guy that sells cursed ghost jars on Etsy.
Oh! That is certainly
Yeah.
a lot to unpack.
It's a lot to unpack. It's an incredible journey. If you ever feel like looking into this, I can send you all the links later.
Yeah,
But
sure.
it's really funny. Like I can't accurately describe. I'm gonna read some of the FAQ off about these cursed ghost jars because
Please
I can't. There's
do,
so
please
many. There's
do.
so many layers to get to the witch lore, but we'll start with the basics. Frequently asked questions about the cursed ghost jars sold by Cursed Ghost Jars on Etsy. FAQ. Question 1: is this ethical? Answer: yes. Question 2. Question 2. Are the ghosts in your jars made with added things? Answer: no, only ghost/ghost essence/ectoplasm. The jar might also contain salt from when I trapped the ghost and or wax from when I sealed it. This debris will not affect the quality of your ghost.
Okay.
Question 3. I got scared. Can I return the ghost? You can only return the ghost to the land of the living with formulas long forgotten. You can't return the jar to me because I can't be sure the ghost is unused. You can hire me to trap the ghost again. Send me a message. My rates are very reasonable because I'm ethical.
I'm sorry. How does one use a... You know what? I'm gonna save the question of how one uses a ghost for later. Please do go on.
I don't understand the law of thermodynamics. The answer is... it's one you can find if you do a Bing search. And I'm sorry, but it is the law here in Canada.
The law of thermodynamics is the law?
Here in Canada.
Oh, only in Canada. Okay, so if I'm buying this internationally, I don't have to worry about it. All right.
Also, all the ghost jars cost $73 Canadian. And
It's remarkably consistent.
yeah, why do your ghost jars cost 73 Canadian dollars? There are a bunch of reasons. First of all, 7 and 3 are semaphoric numbers that help contain the ghost when it's involved in a financial monetary transaction. You may see a different number in your local currency, but these are Canadian ghosts beholden to Canadian numerology.
I see. Okay.
So it just gets into this like really big thing where it's basically a bunch of little like crumbs of information you can find across a whole bunch of web pages. Like he's got an Etsy, he's got an Instagram, he's got a LinkedIn. He very briefly had an OnlyFans.
I'm sorry? What
Yeah,
sort of adult-only content does one
Well, the
do as
thing
a
is-
ghost vendor?
Is that OnlyFans rejected his application to be on OnlyFans because he was producing just ethical ghost content.
What would they have if it was unethical ghosts?
They just might have.
Oh, terrible.
But it's just like this incredibly silly thing that boils down to eventually there's a sock puppet that's a witch. that
I'm
has
sorry?
possessed- Yeah, this is a sock puppet witch.
Is this native to the actual the core canon of this individual, or is this something that you have created by
No, I did
purchasing
not make
one
this.
of these ghosts and putting it in the
I-
sock?
Okay, this is actually really fun. I was doing streams about ethical ghost lore because it was the funniest thing I'd ever experienced.
Correct.
And I actually was email corresponding with the ethical ghost hunter himself, Askir Grunberg, for a while.
Incredible.
And I did a bunch of fan art. We talked a bunch. I asked specific questions about his experience as a ghost hunter. He emailed me first, actually. It was really funny. And I went to chat and I was like, guys, Askir Grunberg sent me an email. And then we wrote an email to him together. And he actually mailed me a ghost jar. I own an ethical ghost jar. Like, it's on my shelf. I have not opened it because I would never.
What would you even do with it at that point?
I would be cursed, obviously.
Well, that doesn't sound very ethical of the ghosts. I thought they
Yeah,
were
well, it's in
ethical
a jar.
too here.
He's in a jar, so he can't get out. I have the history of the ghost, but it's a long story. For
Oh my
another
god,
time.
it has its own backstory?
Yeah, I have the lore of the ghost in my ghost jar.
Oh my god, that is
I
incredible.
also have a cursed witch tape because the witch in this picture had cursed Askir Grunberg to send out cursed witch tapes to people, me included.
Have you listened to the tape?
Well, it's like a VHS tape.
Have you watched it?
No, it's like melted from the curse.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
It's a radioactive cut?
Yeah. I am sworn to secrecy about the actual content of the tape, and exactly which VHS it is. I was told not to tell anybody. But
Oh wait, did it come in its original box? Was it like?
No, it's all melted and like messed up.
Okay.
The label is not legible. But I was sworn to secrecy about what the contents of the tape was. But I can I told not to tell exactly which tape it was, lest the curse continue to someone else. But I can tell you, it was of the home fitness variety.
Oh, okay. So we have sealed this unfathomably powerful witch evil spirit inside of a jazzercise tape.
Well, no, she cursed the jazzercise tape,
Oh,
and now it's in my
okay.
house.
Okay.
I was told to keep an eye on it to make sure it doesn't set on fire. So far, it's good. I have a worm on a string wearing a cowboy hat sitting in front of it to keep it in line. It seems to be working so far.
Huh.
A lot of weird stuff.
Huh.
But yeah, honestly, Griselda, if you just want to do a stream where you just go over all of these links, like with your chat, it will be a great time.
Oh
You will
my
have
God.
so much fun. I'm not messing around. It's an incredible
sure.
experience.
Throw those my way. I would be more than happy to see what on earth it is that we're talking about here.
It's truly wild. Truly, truly. I should really check into some ghost lore updates, see if there's anything new out there. It's been a while. It's one of those things. I hyper focused on the ghost lore, and then the hyper focus went away.
You know, that's the case.
It is, but it's still
We're
it's
too
still fun
late
to
for
talk
you?
about. I would start with the Etsy and then work your way through just following all the links, but I sent you all of them for whenever you want to check that out on your own.
Absolutely phenomenal.
So yeah, it's a witch. TLDR, the emote is a witch.
So is the emote also affected by this same curse?
Only a little bit, according to Ask Your Grunberg.
Oh, okay. What should we be watching out for when dealing with this curse?
Just be scared. Apparently, she's got giant tits. Not pictured. A
Okay.
seductive evil witch.
Yeah, that would probably market well for
The
Twitch.
things that happen in Winnipeg, Manitoba are beyond me. If this is nonsense, like, I love that. I also agree with Odin, is that either they're the most committed shitposter or a real ghost capturer. Either option is excellent to me. Like, this man is so dedicated to this nonsense, or this very real ghost hunting. It gives me life. Like, I wish I felt as consistent about this. Like the description on his shop is, I'm selling ghosts trapped in jars because I now believe this is the right thing to do. No context, that's it.
You're telling me right here in the description they're trapped. That is not an ethical word, sir. If it was housed, maybe. Residing in.
Well, I think the ethical part is the ghosts are evil, so he is trapping them so they don't hurt people. But I actually have no. You just gotta get into it sometime on your own. It's really good.
Yeah, and now it is sounding like that's the case. When would it be appropriate to use this emote?
Anytime you want to menace somebody.
You know,
For me, it's all the time.
the Jojo go does certainly add something to it.
The Jim bizarre Vim Vim, yeah.
Thank you for the hydrate, Brian.
Yeah, I needed it too. Hi, Brian. That's my brother.
Oh, hello. Nice to finally put a name to, I haven't seen a face, so I suppose a name to a name.
He's got a nice nose.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, isn't it? We have the same nose.
Oh, it's a very good nose regardless.
Mm-hmm,
You have recently arrived home. Well, sends the niece and the as of yet unborn nephew my regards. Motherfucker, we have the same nose. Well, I hope you're sharing it. Times are tight.
Anytime I compliment him, I tell him he has a nice nose. It's my favorite way to bug him, because it's also complimenting myself. We got a strong nose. It's the family nose.
It's a good nose. I've never seen
nose.
it, but I am of the firm belief at this point already that it is a good nose. That's all I need to know.
Nose goes.
Very, very true. You know, as you should be. I feel like radical self-love has to be the next thing. There's enough features that get poo-pooed and put down by a general idea of what is attractive or pleasant looking. Like, I cannot believe for the life of me that there are still people who think that brown eyes are not an attractive feature. There's so many different ways you can have brown eyes. They can be warm, they can be cold, they can be rich, they can be pale. Oh my god.
There's like, I don't know, it's interesting to me. Like, I understand that there is, like, obviously a conventional version of beauty that is, like, socially acceptable by, like, society at large. But like, it's I think that there's something like inherently beautiful about everybody, regardless of what conventional beauty is. And I understand that's kind of like a cop-out sort of way of being like, oh, everybody's beautiful, but like there's little things, and like you know, the smile lines on your grandma's face, or like the way that somebody looks like when they see something that they like. or I don't know, the way that your friend likes to tap on the wall every time they walk past it. Like it's I think there's something beautiful about the way that everybody does something. Regardless of like actual conventional beauty. Like if you love somebody, you think they're beautiful. You know what I mean? Like whether it be like
Yeah.
platonic love or familial love or like romantic love, like if you love someone, there's something beautiful about them, you know?
That is so true, though, yeah. Oh, that is absolutely wonderful. Brown eyes act as a default, but it's not typical to see it out in the famous wild. I suppose so. But only Brian looks good in a bunny girl outfit. Is there a story behind that?
He owns one.
Oh.
I don't have many opinions on that. I think he looks nice in it, in that he seems confident and happy in it. Though I think I have the right to not have many opinions on my own sibling in a bunny suit.
You know, it's probably healthier not to, yeah. Very fair,
I do know that he wears high heels at his desk.
A very manly show. And
yeah,
it makes
it's like,
your
and
calves look wonderful. Oh my god.
I'm sure that it does, but the only reason that that's relevant is because his desk and his office is right above my bedroom.
So you can just hear the click, click, click. Oh my god, that's wonderful.
And sometimes I send him a text message and I was like, take off your shoes.
Oh my god.
Or at least stop shuffling your feet around.
When you just have to text your brother, hello, sir, I need you to show feet, because I cannot with these shoes anymore.
Yeah, sometimes I send him a message of, you're getting too excited about your fighting games. I need you to calm down so I can get to sleep.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So what sort of projects are you looking forwards to in the future? What are some things that you want to be doing? Ideal worlds, money, time isn't an object.
Okay.
What are some things that you would want to add to the rich portfolio that is Grimhild?
Okay, if I'm put into a hyperbolic time chamber, number one, I'm gonna have a real good nap. Number one. Number two, I really want to make a actual 3D environment for my VTubing space. I think it would be really cool to have an actual 3D environment to run around in. I sort of want to go for a low poly, old school style, painted textures sort of environment. I have no idea how to get into that.
I have never heard of that in terms of low poly. Usually I associate low poly with a lot of people have been doing those Dreamcast, PlayStation 1 sort of graphics.
Yeah, well, I want it to be more like GameCube type graphics. I don't know if you ever played Crystal Chronicles, but it's a very pretty game. And definitely considered low poly. But yeah, just I'm torn between wanting a soft sort of gentle fantasy energy like Crystal Chronicles had, versus having a simplistic fun sort of lo-fi pop sort of energy in my stream. I'm torn between the two aesthetics. Having bright pastel colors versus having more toned down natural colors. I've opted generally for the brighter colors, but I always want both.
Oh, I mean, there's no reason you can't have both. I mean, that was honestly
the reason is time.
Oh yeah, I suppose. But you can always try starting off with something. You never know where it could lead.
I also want to make a low poly 3D model too. Like not just like the ghost is low poly, but like a humanoid model that's also low poly with like the painted textures and everything. I've seen other people do it and they look really cool, and I'm like, I want that for me as well. But it's just like a slow learning process of trying to, figure out how to do it in a way that is functional mostly. I kind of want to start with making like a N64 type, like Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time like model. But interestingly enough, making stuff low poly is sort of harder than I thought it would be. I think I saw someone do a method where they basically start with a higher poly model and then work their way backwards from that.
I could see how that works. I mean, you just turn something curved into something with angles and so. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So like honestly, I really want to just make my own model from scratch. I love my current models. I worked really hard on them. I did them in Vroid. I have a love-hate relationship with Vroid. I think it's a great resource. It's great that it's free. You can do a lot of really cool stuff with it. You can be, if you're creative and determined, you can do a lot of really interesting stuff with the hair tool and with the textures and other stuff like that. But the program itself is kind of a goddamn nightmare. Like, it's slow and it's laggy, and painting in it is awful, and making hair in it is awful, and it's just a nightmare to use, which is why I'm like, you know what? I'll just learn how to make my own model from scratch, and then I don't have to deal with Vroid anymore.
You know, Bea always told me that's how she ended up making a live 2D model, you know? She was gonna do Vroid, but then couldn't figure out how to make antlers and ears, so she just said, fuck it, you know what, I'm just gonna learn this completely different program instead.
Completely valid. What I ended up doing is because, like, again, the hair tool, like, I could never figure it out. Instead of using the hair tool, I would just find 3D assets and then add them on in Unity instead. Like, you can just buy them. For anyone out there who's doing that kind of stuff, you could buy antlers, or buy hats, or buy horns, or buy glasses, and you can put them on in Unity instead of bothering with Vroid, which is what I opted to do most of the time. But some people do absolutely amazing stuff in Vroid, and I watch speed paint sometimes, and I was like, you are some kind of sorceress. I don't know how you do what you do, because this is incredible. I am weaker than you. You are stronger than I.
I remember seeing the other day
someone
found a way to make plus-sized models in Vroid Studio, and I was baffled. How do you do that? Everyone's this stick-thin anime figure. How are you making them big?
You can like force the proportions by messing with the parameters. But the problem with that, I found, is that they end up looking really awkward. And they don't rig properly, basically. Like, the rigging is off if you mess with the parameters too much. Like, basically all it's doing is like stretching the vertices beyond what they're supposed to be at. If someone found out an actual way to make actual, like, non-stick figure Vroids, that would be excellent. But whenever I've tried it, they always ended up turning out really awkward and super weird. But that would be great, because yeah, body diversity in Vroid is basically non-existent. So it would be nice if they added that in, but it is like it's a Japanese program, and they aren't exactly very progressive in terms of body diversity in Japanese culture, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, true, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, if if I move into like making my own low poly models, I'd probably want to even though I love my current models, like just because I work really hard in them, I'd probably retire the old ones to keep like a consistent sense of branding. Like I'd keep the duck and the ghost and the slime and all that, but probably
you
get rid
made
of the Vroid
those,
models.
yeah.
Yeah, just like to keep the imagery consistent, but that's a while off. Another one I want to do is okay, so I know I said I wanted to make a 3D environment for VTubing, which would be very, very cool.
Uh-huh.
But I also kind of just want to draw my background in grease pencil in that like 2.5D art style. Just because I think it would be really cool.
Yeah.
Like, not particularly because I need it. I really like my background. I worked really hard on it.
That
but
would be interesting,
I just
trying
think it
to
would be really
navigate
cool.
a 3D space, but with 2D objects. Yeah, I could see an appeal in there.
I don't, unfortunately, think I could make grease pencil objects work in Unity, which is what I would need to do to make it an actual environment. So I'd probably just draw it as like a background that is animated. But I don't know. I just like drawing stuff in 2.5D, and I'm starting the course I took to learn how to draw in that style has a part 2 now, which seems to involve exactly the skills I need to learn to do that. Which is very convenient for me.
Is this one of those online skill learning co-op sort of deals?
Yeah, it's on CG Boost. And there's a grease pencil course on there, and it's excellent. I highly recommend it. But you know, if you don't have the $60, the guy that teaches that course also does free tutorials on YouTube. His name is Kevin Dram.
Kevin Dram?
Yeah, I'll type it out in the chat. That is his YouTube username, and he does free tutorials on there in grease pencil. They're great. The paid tutorial obviously gets into more depth of like all the different stuff you can do, but the 3D, I feel like the free tutorials are enough to like dip your feet in enough that you can actually make stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, that's good.
It's excellent. He does a great job. He explains things. He really holds your hand the whole time, which is what I needed.
Oh yeah, you know, some people can be absolutely brilliant when it comes to being an artist, but the second they have to be a teacher, it's like they've created their own little language that they can't translate back into understandable instructions for anyone to follow.
Especially with like specialized programs like Blender. Like there's one thing to be able to teach somebody how to like draw, and like obviously a skill that takes a lot of time to learn and a lot of effort to teach. But like just because you know how to draw in say Photoshop doesn't mean that those just drawing skills and knowledge of Photoshop is going to translate into Blender. Because Blender is inherently a 3D program and has a lot of terminology that is 3D specific. So if you go in there not knowing any of the terms or not understanding how 3D programs work, without somebody holding your hand and being like, "Hey, this is a viewfinder. It's in 3D now, not like in Photoshop. Come here, look at this. This is a transform tool. You can spin stuff around." You know? But it's yeah, if you get into like watching Blender tutorials and you don't know like the basics of how Blender works, you're going to be completely lost. Unless they explain it to you, which he does.
So that's something that we'll have to look into.
It's really fun. If you ever want to get into it, or if B ever wants to get into it and has questions, I'm always around. I want more people to use it. It's a cool program. It lets me make stuff. Like, I'm scared of Live 2D. It scares me.
Oh, from what I have seen, it is very, it's not very user-friendly now.
So I went the other direction. Like, Live 2D scared me so much that I went the other direction to 3D. And I can make stuff that kind of looks like like Live 2D like it's similar to Live 2D, but it's not because it's in Blender and it's technically like 3D, and I'm doing like air quotes around that.
Yeah, of course.
And it's just really fun. I really enjoy it. Sometimes I make stuff in that, and I'm like, I made that, me.
Yeah,
I get very
take
excited.
ownership of it. You deserve to be able to feel excited about what you create.
Yeah, if I went like if even like 5 years ago or 6 years ago even, if I went to me myself and I was like, look at this cool stuff that you make in 5 years. 5 years ago me would be like, no way I made that. That's impossible. That's so cool. Cuz like I'm making the stuff that I could only dream about 5 years ago, right? And I feel like I'm really excited. It's like, what if in another 5 years from now, I'm making stuff that I can only dream about today? You know, like it's a process. It takes time, but it's just so exciting to know that I'm doing the things that, like, even when I was a teenager, I always wanted to be like a person on the internet or like do like silly anime stuff with my friends online, and I'm doing it now.
You're
like I
living the
had
dream.
Yeah, I'm literally living the dream. Like all of these things that I always wanted to do, I'm doing them. They just take time. And they happen, and it's just crazy to think about. Like at some point I was like a weird teenager drawing Hatsune Miku fan art in in art class. And now I'm still drawing fan art of anime characters, but it's like way cooler.
Yeah. Oh, that is wonderful, though.
I wish I still had my sketchbooks from when I was a teenager. Because like when people go through their old sketchbooks from when they were teenagers and they look at all of like the silly art that they made when they were kids, it's fun to look at all of the stuff that you made and remembering like, oh, I remember I was so proud of this piece, and it's like objectively terrible.
Oh,
But the
yeah.
point is that like when you're at that stage of learning, every time you improve on something, you get really excited about it. You're like, oh man, you know what? This doesn't look as good, but I did really good on this part. Or, man, I did so much better on this one than I did on the last one. And you know, that was kind of the magic I lost in my early 20s, where I was like, you know, again, I wasn't feeling that like, oh, improvement, I'm doing so good kind of feeling.
Yeah.
I just forgot what that was like, and you know, I explained earlier I had to relearn it. But it's really fun to look at your old art and be like, oh, that was the best thing I'd ever made at the time, and now I'm leagues better.
Absolutely.
It's fun.
Now, we have a couple of questions here, but before we get to those, these are questions that we ask a lot of the guests here. But before we get to those, I am curious. We have talked so much about the creative process, about all of the different facets that you express that through. But when you're not just being this phenomenal, effervescent artist, what else do you do to relax, to have fun, to enjoy yourself? What do you watch? What do you play? What do you listen to? Those sorts of things.
Well, these days, honestly, the thing I do for fun, like that I find is the most fun, is hanging out with my niece. Like if I'm having a bad day and I was like, I need to do something that's gonna give me a lot of dopamine fast, what gives me that? Going to go play with my niece. I just love hanging out with her. She's such a cute little kid. I like she if you ask her for a hug, you know, she'll come give you a hug. You know, she doesn't always, but that's okay. She's allowed to make her own choices.
Oh, that is wonderful.
And she's learning how to play pretend.
Oh,
that's very exciting because I taught her how to put her baby down for a nap or put her baby down for bedtime. And now all she wants to do is play pretend with her baby and take her baby for walks and put her baby down for naps. Incredibly cute.
Oh my god, that is so much.
She's the best. But other than hanging out with my niece, who is like my top tier source of dopamine. I like watching streams when I have like the gummy bears to socialize, which I haven't had a lot of energy for socializing recently, but I do like going to Ida streams and saying hi while I like watch tutorials and do art. I really just like learning stuff, which is funny. We're all coming back. It's like, oh, I like doing art, but I'm like, we're talking about other stuff. I've been playing a lot of Tears of the Kingdom, like just video games in my off time. I played it on stream too, but that's the kind of game where it's like it's so big that to even get through it in a reasonable amount of time, you need to play it on your own time.
You could spend an hour building a tap. You could spend hours building just tap dancing robots or what have you. Various deku shrub torture machines, all sorts of things like that. Yeah.
I've been wanting to get into playing Pikmin 4 because I bought it like when it came out and I just never got around to playing it. I've also been reading a lot of comics. I read a lot of webtoons.
Oh yeah. Any in particular?
On the webtoon app. My favorite one right now is called. Oh, I have two favorite ones. Okay, The Remarried Empress is really, really good.
Ooh.
It's about an empress who gets divorced because her absolutely dogshit husband, who is an absolute waste of space, divorces her to marry his mistress. And it's like, okay, like she was like graceful and wonderful the entire time. She's like, okay, kings, the emperors, they have concubines. It happens. She was like, you know what? I didn't want this to happen, but as an empress, it's just one of those things, And she was graceful about it. And then he has this completely stupid plan to divorce. Like, I can't even get into it because I don't want to spoil it if anyone wants to read it. But The Remarried Empress is excellent. If you guys like, if you're like me and you enjoy, like tea, like if you watch Reddit stories because you like watching the drama unfold, then you would like that one because it's full of drama. It's made out of hot tea that is being spilt constantly.
Remarried Empress, okay.
Yeah, it's so good. Also, Sister Rose, Mage and Demon Queen, also really good. I loved the finale. Incredible. It's that one's about it's about a young mage who falls in love with a demon queen. It's gay, blatantly and excessively queer. It's incredible. And who doesn't fall in love with a gigantic dragon mommy? Okay, everyone does.
Very fair. My entire family we've all been sluts for something that weren't a goblin. But my other favorite one right now, very, very different from the two I just talked about, is called Cursed Princess Club. And that one's really interesting to me is because usually I am very picky about the art style of the things that I consume. If I don't like the art style of something, even it could have like the best story or characters or whatever, if I don't like how it looks visually, I'm not going to get into it. Like totally understandable. I mean, it's it's primarily a visual medium.
But despite that, even though I wasn't completely enamored by the art style of Cursed Princess Club, the characters and the story and the energy of it really drew me in, which is like very unlikely to happen because of just who I am as a person.
What's that one about?
So it's about a cursed princess club. It's about a club of princesses who all are cursed.
Okay.
And the overarching theme of the comic is basically it's about these girls who are rejected by society for being cursed, which is like in its own way a metaphor for being like neurodivergent or being queer or just not fitting in with your family, in general. So it's this group of girls who have been rejected, who like still like live with their families in some cases. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. Sometimes they have better relationships with their families and their kingdoms. Sometimes they have worse. But the thing that brings them together is the sense of otherness that they all have, right? So it's like, it's really good to understand that, like, yeah, we're all cursed, but we all have different life experiences. Like, we're not all like we're not all like victims of our family. Sometimes we're just victims of circumstance, but we're all in this together, right? And it's really good, but it's actually about the main character whose name is Gwen, who isn't cursed, but everybody assumes that she is cursed, like, because she basically lived a very sheltered life in a castle for a really, really long time, and was treated exactly the same as her 2 older sisters and her twin brother, who are all 3 of those, like her siblings, incredibly beautiful, like aesthetically pleasing, like cream of the crop, beauty standard people, right?
Right.
Whereas
Sure.
Gwen is not conventionally attractive. She's got like interestingly enough, she has like pale green skin, and she's got like tired lines on her face, and she's got thin lips and watery eyes, and like strands, like not full beautiful hair. And it's like, you know, she goes out into the world and finds out that people think that she's really ugly. And she never in her life considered herself ugly because she wasn't exposed to other people who would look at her in that way. Because she was, like, you know, sheltered in a place where only her family was. So she never had that outside opinion of people looking at her and be like, you're not conventionally beautiful. And so she gets into a situation where, like, all the princesses get engaged to neighboring princes, but one of the princes is engaged to her, and he, unbeknownst to her, like, she was listening in, but he said, well, I can't marry Gwen, she's so ugly, why do you guys get to date the pretty princesses? And it basically shatters her worldview, and makes her look at herself in a way, and she's like, I'm not, like, I'm ugly?
Oh, that is
because it was not something she
terrible.
ever considered. It was, and this is like a young teenage girl, so like it just shatters her, right? It destroys her self-esteem, and the whole thing is just like her going through this journey of basically every time she looks in a mirror, she sees it cracked, because that's like a metaphor for how she views herself. And she has to go through this journey where she figures out how to love herself and how to like figure out how to navigate that. And it's just really, really good. And it gets into a lot of things, and I think that the best thing about it is like all of the cursed princesses assume that she's cursed because she's like ugly. And she's not cursed. She's just herself. It's just what she looks like. And a lot of modern media are afraid of making characters ugly. Like they find a character and like, okay, we're gonna call this character ugly, but they just look like a regular, like, Hollywood standard of beauty.
Oh, that is so true.
Right? They're like, oh, this character's so ugly, and I was like, okay, she slouches and her hair is frizzy. That's it. It's like in the Princess Diaries.
Call someone ugly and then the reason being that she's wearing glasses.
Yeah, it's like Anne Hathaway before and after her transformation in Princess Bride was still a very beautiful young woman.
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact that they were like, yeah, so Gwen is not conventionally attractive. She has all these features. She's always going to have these features. That is just what she looks like. Like, she is objectively, from like a societal point of view, not a conventional beauty. But she's beautiful in the way that she is a spitting image of her mother, who is a kind and lovely woman. That she's genuinely a wonderful person and a caring friend. And also beautiful, like, in just that, in a non-conventional way, just straight up. Like, she may not look conventional, but she's beautiful because she is. Like, she exists, therefore she is, right?
Yeah.
But it's refreshing to see a form of media that's not like she's not cursed. This is just what she looks like. She is ugly in the way that society views her, but in the same sense, she's beautiful in her own way. Like not in a like, oh, she takes off her glasses and she's beautiful now. She's always gonna look like that, and she's always gonna be beautiful, even though like the conventional beauty standards don't align. Anyway, it's really good. I really like it.
Yeah, it reminds me of that quote from a Roald Dahl. A questionable man, not always the best guy, but I think the one quote in particular that sits well with. Oh my god. Let's see if I can remember it. Research team, do you have the one? Yeah, you got the one. Can you bring that up? Okay, there we go. Yeah, if a person has ugly thoughts, it begins to show on the face. And when that person has ugly thoughts every day, every week, every year, the face gets uglier and uglier until you can hardly bear to look at it. A person who has good thoughts can't ever be ugly. You can have a wonky nose and a crooked smile, double chin, stick out teeth, but if you have good thoughts, it will shine out of your face like sunbeams. You'll always look lovely.
Yeah, again, it's just nice to read media where they stick to their guns and they don't try to prettyify everything. Like the number of manhwa or like anime or watch where like, oh, this girl's the ugliest girl in the world, and it's just like a regular anime character. It's just exhausting to like, if you're gonna try to make a message about inner beauty, then maybe stop making all of your characters supermodels.
Yeah. Oh, there was that wonderful part of the Barbie movie.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Where she's
Yes.
saying she ain't pretty no more, and then the narrator has to say, if you were trying to make this point, hiring Margot Robbie to play the character kind of undermines it.
Yeah, that was brilliant. I loved Barbie movie.
Oh,
So
it was
good.
wonderful.
I'm thinking about even like buying the actual Blu-ray, and then I can just have it forever.
I would be interested to cycle back full cycle. Like, I'd be interested to see what more movies like the Barbie movie would be in different languages. Like, I recently watched the ASL version of it, the American Sign Language version.
I saw TikToks about that.
Yeah, it was fascinating. Like the dubbing process added a whole nother layer to the language of the film. I do hope we get to see more language diversity when it comes to releases of films or any sort of like cultural landmarks. That way people who have experienced it already in whatever language they are familiar with, they can say, oh, I basically understand what's going on here. And it sort of fosters some understanding, I suppose.
For sure. I don't know if they ever finished it, but I think they were working on, like, just speaking of like languages and movies, I think they were working on a version of Moana that was going to be done in the language of the people. I don't know what the language of the people calls, but like without knowing the proper word for the language, but basically in the Polynesian language. Which also would be very, very cool. They did do it. Oh, they finished it. Excellent.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Good. There's also a guy on TikTok. He's Anishinaabemoan, and he does dubs of cartoons and anime in Anishinaabe. Very, very fun to watch clips of Sailor Moon done in Anishinaabe.
Oh my god, that does sound very interesting. That's one of the language groups of Northeastern First Nations, is that right?
Over in Ontario by the Great Lakes is where the Anishinaabe are.
Yeah, that's the one that's sort of like related to Algonquin, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of in the same area, yeah.
Okay.
But it's just, yeah, it's nice to see that kind of stuff being made. It makes me be like, oh, I wish I was fluent enough to like speak in any amount of time that is reasonable to dub something. I speak very slowly.
Well, I'm sure what they don't show in those TikToks is
all the outtakes.
Yeah, you can write things out, you can script them out, and you can then just do the old rehearse, deliver.
I think the guy that does it too is also a Anishinaabe language teacher, so that probably helps.
Yeah, it would probably do a little bit more for it, yeah. Now, unfortunately, I do need to ask, this production has tied my hands here, but given one of your major projects is of the tabletop role-playing experience variety, have you thought about branching off into other games, other campaigns?
Actually, our next, so we just finished up
the first arc, yeah.
Yeah, so the second one we're actually going to be doing in Pathfinder.
Oh, okay.
I've been playing Pathfinder with some friends for a while now. And it's actually a really, really fun system once you get used to it.
There's an awful lot of math involved.
There's not actually much more than D&D, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, like if you use a virtual tabletop, it does it for you, just like D&D, right?
Yeah, I can see how that would work.
If you can get it automated, it's not too bad. But it's really, really fun. I actually find it more versatile in terms of combat stuff. Like I feel like I can do more impactful things on my turns. So we're excited about that. Also, we're trying to, just with all the weird stuff that Wizards of the Coast has done in the last year and a half.
It hasn't been great. Let's be honest.
We're like, we can just move away from Wizards of the Coast, is what we were planning on. Because they've been up to some shenanigans is one way to do it. One way to say
it really is. The amount of stuff they have been doing. There was the AI art, there was the OGL, there was...
Yeah.
Oh my god, what a headache. It's almost like they don't want to succeed anymore.
What was it? They really fumbled the... What was it? I can't remember the race of people, but basically the super racist space monkey race.
The Hadozi,
yeah! They tried to make them less racist, and they did not succeed. They actually just made it more racist.
Here's the thing. You can do a fantasy setting where the shorthands for there's a particular cultural group of people within this one ancestry that are bad. You can do that without having it always be slaves.
Yeah, it's like honestly, the only like the Wizards of the Coast writing team, it's like how do we establish an evil race? They're slavers. And that's how they do it for every evil race, and like they have slaves. Bada bing, bada evil. Also the concept of an entire ethnic group of people in D&D, just the entirety of them being inherently evil.
Exactly.
Is bad by itself.
Yeah, it's the conflation of culture and ancestry that is so insidious.
It
Like
truly is.
everything is a monolith.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was talking to a friend one time and there was like, yeah, Gary Gygax. He made D&D, but he was kind of like racist. And they were like, "Well,
I
was he
buy
though?
that.
Like was he?" And I was like, "Well, here's the thing. Even if he wasn't like openly like throwing slurs and being prejudiced, he had internalized racism that he carried on into this game that he made. Um and that, continued on until like a bunch of decades later. Like it's still the internalized racism and the systemic racism that was built into Dungeons and Dragons still exists, and they are struggling to dismantle it in a game."
Yeah, and it's even on the sadly, even in the real world, you still have people of color in these industries that are facing so much pushback from the establishment. It's terrible. It's why you see, fortunately, one good thing to come out of that is you do see an increasing push towards stories told by these groups using systems created wholesale for those stories.
Yeah, there is a tabletop game called Coyote and Crow.
I have heard of that one. That was what I was going to
Yeah,
mention. That's the, well, you can speak to
exactly.
it better than I could.
I have never played it, but I want to one day. It's like cyberpunk. It's basically like what if North America wasn't colonized, and it also
Hmm.
cyberpunk. And it seems pretty cool. I haven't played it. Maybe one day I'll get a copy of it and I'll play it. I kind of want to get a physical copy of it because it would just seem cool, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a certain amount of being able to support someone in a way that feels concrete. I can get that.
mhm. And there's just lots of ways that you can just do things that's outside of like the weird rule set that D&D created. Also, if you're playing D&D and you think that you have to adhere to the Dungeons and Dragons lore, you don't have to. Ignore the lore. Screw the lore. Do whatever the hell you
Absolutely.
want.
And it's
Like,
no longer death of the author, it is active
yeah.
murder of
It
the
is
author.
basically, it's like, it's not even a suggestion to follow the lore. Just do whatever you want. Some people are Puritans about the lore, and I'm like, but for why though? I'm role playing, like, fucking, like, games with my friends.
Mm.
Like, the lore is stupid. I'm gonna make a cooler one, and then we'll do that. Like, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Exactly.
Lore is what you make it out to be, and if it's not important to you, then like if the lore that's in the game doesn't align with your game, then make new lore.
Exactly.
Good night, Rose. Have a good sleep.
Have a wonderful sleep, Rose. It was lovely seeing you.
I've played other systems though that are really fun. Just for fun. There's this one called Good Strong Hands, which is really interesting. It's very collaborative and it takes a while to get started, but like that's kind of the fun part. It's basically are you familiar with Neverending Story?
I have heard of it. I can't say that I have actually seen it though.
Okay. Well, the concept of Neverending Story is basically you're on this kid's on an adventure and there's something called the Nothing, I think, that is threatening to take over the world and like destroy everything. That's the TLDR of it. And Good Strong Hands is basically the same concept. There's like the Void, which is basically threatening to destroy the world of Reverie, which is basically a world of dreams. Wherein you make that world with your friends. So like you sit down, you make your characters, you decide like, hey, where does my character live? And you like world build with your friends about making the world of Reverie together. That's the part that takes a while to set everything up. And then basically you go on an adventure to stop the void from hurting people, etc. And the void is basically like the call of darkness, the call of like dark desires and being cruel to the people around you, or like using a means to an end even if it hurts somebody, right?
Right.
And a really fun thing, it's kind of, I think it's like got a powered by the apocalypse sort of system setup. It's like a D6, it's a D6 setup game. The DM actually, interestingly enough, does not roll any dice. They just narrate what's going on. Like they present challenges and they roll dice, and then you figure out what happens based off of that. And one of the interesting mechanics is that you every time you like, so you if you roll a d6, like if you only have like 1 point, you can roll 1d6 and be like, okay, you passed or failed. But if you have a chance, like say you have 3 points in a skill, you can roll 3d6s, so you have more chances to succeed, right?
Yeah.
But say you roll 2d, like you roll 2 successes, right? So if you do really good, not only do you succeed, you also get a boon. So you succeed super, super good, basically. You like, get a crit or whatever. But also what happens when you do really well is the void takes notice of your heroics and they corrupt you a little
Oh.
bit. And the more corruptions you get, like basically if you get corrupted enough, you have to take a permanent corruption like point. You unlock a new ability, and the abilities are like super fucked up abilities. Like one of the abilities, like one of the corruption abilities, basically is you make somebody forget someone else permanently.
Oh my god.
Which is a really like messed up thing to do.
Yeah, that's
Because like
dark.
imagine like somebody like, I mean, again, like they're supposed to be heroes, but they get these abilities that are means to an end. Like, okay, this is a really cruel thing to do to somebody, but I want to do this, or I need to do this in my mind so I can succeed and like save everyone from this bigger evil. But that doesn't make doing that okay. Like if somebody, like for some, I don't know, any reason, made someone forget about a family member or a loved one permanently because it solved the problem. Like,
Yeah.
and they just don't know who this person is anymore. That's messed up. Right?
It
So,
is. Yeah.
it just gets to a point in the game where like if like the spicy parts of the game is making difficult decisions about whether or not you use these abilities. Because they are messed up and hurtful, but they're really, really powerful and very useful at the same time. Like you accomplish things when you use these powers gifted to you by the void. But again, at the cost of your like sense of goodness and your sense of self and your willingness to be kind and just and like righteous to other people, because it's not righteous to make somebody completely forget about something. It's not righteous to turn somebody permanently into stone or like all of the other abilities out there. And these are things that just happen. Like there's no roles involved. You just do it. Right?
Oh my god.
It's messed up. It could get spicy if like you get to a point where you're in a very desperate situation and like, you know, you need to accomplish stuff.
I don't know what to add to that. That sounds fascinating in a very dark and very interesting way. It reminds me, at least somewhat. Have you ever heard of a game called Sleepaway?
Oh, man.
It is a diceless, GM-less RPG about playing camp counselors at a not that normal summer camp. The idea is that in the outside world, identity and the isolation and marginalization of people pushes them off to the fringes of society, and the camp is specifically a refuge for those misfits, those marginalized, a space to safely experience and experiment and live as yourself. But as a counselor, you also have to deal with the Lindworm, which is this boogeyman type of entity that represents society at large. The way that even it's a shapeshifter. It's the way that even good people can still be a part of a terrible, dehumanizing system that can really destroy you, but in a very immediate, visceral sort of way. It's a very emotionally intense game, so I would recommend playing it with people you already trust, but definitely worth checking out. So
yeah. Like sometimes even with like good strong hands, you gotta play with people who have the right wavelength to play it with.
Very true.
Because like again, it could be like both of those games, like they could be very emotionally charged, and if you're around people who don't like respect the emotions that you could have like in that situation, that you don't want to play with them. Like it's different between playing like a silly one-shot D&D where you're just goofing around, because like for the most part, you can play that with anybody that, you know, is, of course, of reasonable friendship and respectful towards you. But, like, there's a big difference between people you're going to shitpost with and people that you're going to, like, potentially cry about, like, whatever comes up in those kinds of games. Because, like sometimes in like very emotionally based games, I find that like D&D, like very emotional sessions of D&D or like TTRPGs like that are like low-key a group therapy session.
You know,
Where,
it just works on so many levels. It can be a very, not to make it sound too blasphemous, but it can be a very spiritually real and emotionally resonant experience.
Yeah, like cathartic.
Exactly, that's the word.
Yeah, for sure. Like, actually, our last session of D&D, and I'm not going to spoil anything for the podcast,
Oh, good,
but it was like a very emotional episode because it was like the last of the season, and like things are going to be really, really different in the next one, which is kind of going to be like tangentially like in the same universe. May or may not feature the same characters. We don't know yet. But it was like, you know, like it was the last one, so it was like an episode of like goodbyes and like hard decisions, and it was really, really emotional. And you can't enter that like vulnerable emotional place around people who aren't willing to be there for you at that time, and also know that you're willing to be there for them if they get into that space. Like I can play. So by the way, Mr. Johnny the Cat Whiskers II started as a D&D character. That's not surprising to anybody, but he was a one-shot character. He was a silly bard gladiator. Like he was a gladiator. He was a bard and a fighter cross class. He had a silly accent, and he existed because we were playing with a bunch of brand new players, and I was like, I want to get them comfortable with role-playing by being the silliest person in the room. I'll play Mr. with anybody. He's a silly, dumb goofus. He doesn't have, like, very, like, deep emotions. Like, I'm not digging into my heart to pull out Mr.
Yeah.
You know? He's my shitpost character. Whereas other characters I've played, like I played a paladin that had a very like difficult relationship with her god and with her sense of self and her sense of worth. Like that was a very like emotionally charged character. And other stuff like I'm not gonna bring that to a table of strangers, but I will bring Mr.
Yeah. I don't know what to add to that tracks.
Yeah.
So, as we start approaching the end of the stream, since usually these go around about 3 hours, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, but One of the questions that a couple of the questions that I usually try to ask people. For one, if you were not to be a goblin, do you have any idea what you would have been instead?
Something I've been thinking about recently, because it's not that I want to like rebrand out of my goblinhood. It's more that I was just entertaining the idea of what would I have been, or what could I be otherwise if I was not goblin, or if I just like aesthetically rebranded into like a different variety of goblin. But if I wasn't a goblin, I was trying to think. It was like a cat girl. I was trying to think. It was like, I'm doing a cat girl VTuber.
You know,
there's
the
not
funny
enough
thing.
of those.
The funny thing is, though, no one ever tells you this. This is a very big. This is a very big industry secret, so don't go telling no one, okay, chat? But you're allowed to have more than one model. You're allowed to contain multitudes of different sides of you that you can express in different ways.
Yeah, so like that's the thing though. It's just like I got to a point where I was like, I don't want to just be confined to like just one thing. That's why I have all these other crazy models that I have. And I would, if I knew how, well, not if I knew how, but if I like got to the point where I was able to make like humanoid models, I'd make a bunch of different ones. Like I have, let me see if I can find her. I have a different model that I was thinking about busting out on stream.
Oh, this is exciting.
Like sort of a disguised self. Oh boy, that green screen. Give it a second, chat.
Yeah, it's a curtain, we'll draw it back
I'm
when
changing.
it's ready.
It's a curtain. But
Don't
where
look
is
at it
she?
change, chat.
I put her. Oh, I think it's in here. I think she might be this one.
Oh.
But this one is kind of like loosely based off of, as much as a V-Ride model can get, off of my like behind the curtain human form. But I
can
called this
see
one...
what you mean about the nose. The good nose.
Yeah. But she's pretty basic. But if I zoom out a little bit, if I just step back, she's wearing a ribbon skirt, which is pretty common traditional type of clothing for First Nations people. And this is a ribbon skirt I own in real life too. My mom made it for me a couple years ago.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And it's just one of those things. It's like, I don't want to be confined to just like one aesthetic or type of person. Also, if I was going to make you talk about making those like Miss Rachel style Tanaha videos, I'd probably use this model to do it. Because I would. That's what I'd want to do.
Yeah, it would probably raise a lot less questions as to what is this? Who is this strange woman?
Like, I actually showed VTubing off to the nation. I was invited to do a workshop for Literacy Day back at the nation, which was very, very cool. Basically, it was really weird. They came to me, it's like, hey, do you want to do a workshop? And I was like, sure. I have no means to get there. They're like, we'll pay for you to come. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm there. I get to see my mom. Yeah, they were like, can you just talk about, like, you do all these kind of cool projects and stuff. Can you talk about that? And I was like, I guess so. Because I, like, I've got the podcast, I got the game I'm working on. I'm trying to write a children's book.
Oh my god, way to bury the lead on that one.
Yeah, and I make all this other kind of stuff. I do art, and they're like, can you just come talk about this stuff? And I was like, I guess I can, sure. And I also brought the VTubing stuff, and I was like, check this out. Use VTubing to teach the youth, to get the kids interested.
It works! It works!
Yeah. And it's just, it was I don't know how I got on this topic, but yeah, I went to the nation. I talked to a bunch of people, and it was neat. It was really fun. It's just weird to think that I went home to the reserve and briefly VTubed in front of all of my family members. It was
Oh my
strange.
God.
It was strange. I never, if you told me I'd be VTubing to my nation, I would say, are you sure about that? Because I don't think so. But it was a really good experience. Also, I got to see my mom because she lives out there and we're pretty far away these days. So that was nice.
That's absolutely wonderful. Oh my God.
I don't remember what the question was anymore.
Oh, it was initially if you want a goblin.
Oh,
in
yeah,
terms
right.
of
I just want to
VTubing.
be whatever I want to be.
Honestly, that is the objectively correct answer.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I will make a cat girl model.
You know what? Why not? You're allowed. You know what you could do? You could make yourself a chickadee, Sona.
That's true.
And go
That's
around
true.
murdering
Chickadee,
mooses
on that
and
subject
wolves.
is it's Mitskaka in Tana. There's your language lesson.
Mitskaka.
Yeah.
I wonder, is that sound like a chickadee? I can't think of what
So-
they would sound like in person.
Yeah, chickadees have like a little trilling noise. They also make that little chickadee dee dee, that kind of sound
Oh,
too. But
yeah.
they have other calls as well. But yeah, Mitskaka. Crow is also really fun, and crow is haha. Because that's the sound that they make.
It's so true, though. It's such a good encapsulation of a crow's character to make their name the sound of laughter.
Yeah, exactly. I love these little language things. They make me happy. Like, just like some of them have like these really poignant words. And some of them are just haha.
Yeah, for every beautiful, poignant language words, you get like sharp, arrowed flowers. You also get frogs, belly buttons, and ha-has. And that's wonderful. Well, now I was gonna ask you about that children's book, but I'm starting to think I'm gonna need to save some topics for when I ask you back, because at this point it's not a if I'm gonna invite you back.
Well, I'd be happy to be back. Maybe I'll have more stuff that I've accomplished by then. I have a dozen half-finished projects.
You
so we'll
hush
get
now.
them
You have
eventually.
already accomplished so darn much.
Well, that's what I mean. I'll just keep adding to the pile.
If it works, it works.
But yeah, it sounds like both of us are probably EP. I know that I ran out of water a while ago. And I've been talking constantly, so I need some more of that. So we should wrap up.
For sure. We've got just a couple more questions here.
Okay. I can make it.
So this is a game that I like to play with guests. Are you familiar with Marry, Fuck, Kill, to use the vulgar name?
Yeah, I am.
So it's a little like that, but a little different here. So to give you an example, the three female characters of Mario, the three princesses, let's say, Princess Peach, Princess Daisy, and Princess Luna. No, not Luna, that's ponies. What was it?
Rosaline?
Rosalina, yeah, that was it.
Rosalina.
So, the category is Scary Tuck or Grill. Who do you want to go to a haunted house with? Who would you go to a drag show with? And who would you want to go to a barbecue with?
Alright, this is easy. Okay. Rosalina I'd go to the haunted house with because I think that she would make me feel safe. Because she seems like a very calm person. You know, I would be scared. She wouldn't be scared. I feel. I feel like Daisy... No, actually, you know what? I think that Peach would have a great time at a drag show. Like
I've
genuinely.
seen Peach at drag shows, let me tell you.
Honestly, like she'd have a great time. She'd be all in. She'd bring lots of money to give lots of tips. Like she's got the money for it. She's gonna be sitting in the front row, like throwing 20s. You know what I mean? And she'll give me some so I can feel involved because I'm a poor person. Bless her, so generous. And Daisy, I feel like she would be on the grill. She'd be hosting the barbecue, probably. I also feel like Daisy would also be great at a drag show, for the fact that she'd be incredibly enthusiastic the entire time. But if I had to choose, I'd definitely go to a barbecue with Daisy. Just because I feel like me as a person, I'm not good around lots of people. Like 3 people is my threshold for the number of people I want to hang out with at any time.
Totally understandable.
And I feel like if I had to go to a function, I'd want to go with Daisy because I could go find Daisy and I could be like you know, her like introverted neurodivergent tag along who follows her around while she socializes, and I'm also there socializing but with the protection of like my extroverted friend. You know what I mean? My emotional support extrovert.
So we have 2 more of these categories, and then there's just 2 more questions after that. I promise we'll get you in, out, wham, bam, thank you.
Yeah, I'm doing great, don't worry.
All right, the second set of categories here. The cast of Tales of Bone and Ice. The categories are Parry, Truck, and Pill. Who would you have a sword duel with? Who would you go cross-country in an 18-wheeler on a road trip with? And who would you trust to be the sober person while you have an experience for the first time with questionably legal drugs?
Okay, also easy. I would sword fight Sukunkana because I would win. She has a
Fair,
strength of 6.
Oh my god, yeah, okay.
Easy win. I'd destroy her.
Trust
as long
no
as she's
one, not even
to use
yet.
any magic. As long as it's swords only and no magic, I would win.
Of course.
She is a 5th level caster by the end of the podcast, so
that might be a little dangerous, but fair.
Okay, so easy. It's sword fighter. I'd win. I'd just sit on top of her. She couldn't get up. I would go on a road trip with Maris. Maris would be great for road trips. Maris would have snacks. Maris would drive most of the time, which is good. I don't know how to drive.
Smart.
She'd be great. She'd be great to have a road trip with. It'd be super fun. She'd have music. We'd have a sleepover talks. It would be a good time, just in general. It couldn't go wrong. And definitely Condemned, for sure, would be my sober companion because he's basically the utilitarian stick in the mud character. So would he babysit you? Yes. Would he be annoyed about it the whole time? Also yes, but you would be safe and healthy by the end of the night.
We all need those sorts in our lives, yeah. All right. And for the last of the categories here. Oh my god. You think I would have these prepared at this point to have the contestants involved here?
I say that every day about every aspect of my whole life.
You know, you are so fair, you are so valid. All right. The last one of those, let's go with... All right. You know what? Let's do some audience participation. Let's say Jay Deggy, Bato, and where was Rose is already gone. Who else has been particularly active in chat here? Oh, you know what? Let's throw your brother in there too. Sure. So Brian the Goblin, Jay Daggy, and Bato were the Water Tribe. The categories are Carrie, Puck, and Krill. Which one would you trick into thinking they've been crowned prom queen and then dump a bucket of pig's blood on?
Oh.
Which one do you think would most likely be involved in a Shakespearean comedy of errors involving some sort of magical fairy being? And which one do you think would make the best whale? Like the mammal whales.
The best whale?
Yes.
Okay, well, whales aren't real, first of all.
Oh! A bold statement coming in at the 11th hour.
I do not believe in whales. They're too big.
Alright, fair enough.
Anyway, pushing that under the rug real quick.
Oh my god.
God, that's specific. I don't want to carry anyone. You trained our brainworm. It's true, my brainworm is whales aren't real. That's my Roman Empire, is that whales cannot be
If you
real.
want to use an alternate definition of carry, it can also be who would you trust most with developing trauma-induced psychic powers?
Trauma-induced psychic powers? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like as a sibling, I've like just inherently caused trauma to my own sibling via being a menace in general.
So you're gonna carry your brother?
Yeah, I'll carry my brother.
Alright.
Yeah. I mean, he may as well get something out of me bullying him our entire
Fair
childhood.
points, fair points.
Who would make a good whale, and who would I trick into thinking they're in some kind of fairy-based shenanigans?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Eggy would have a lot of fun in some being tricked into fairy-based shenanigans. I feel like Eggy would just have a good time, just in general with that. And I don't know, if I trust anybody to make the incredibly fake creature that is a whale, I think Bato could figure out how to make a pretty good fake whale. How big are they? Too big, but I think he can figure it out. Maybe I'd believe them if he brought me one that he made himself.
Fair. Alright, the last of these, before we get to the essay question.
Yeah.
The three ones are Barry B. Benson, Chuck from the NBC TV show Chuck, and Jill Valentine from Resident Evil. The categories are Barry, Chuck, Jill. This is a tricky one.
Is there more to that?
Nope, that's all.
Like what? And there's no context?
Now, of Barry, Chuck, and Jill, which ones would you categorize as Barry, Chuck, and Jill? You can see that is why we save these for the last part of the interview.
How do I categorize them into themselves?
Into the categories of Barry, Chuck, and Jill. Perhaps they are, perhaps they are not.
Oh,
Of
was it
those
of
categories.
the chatters of chat?
Oh no, just
we
in general of those characters.
Who am I categorizing? Wait, I think I
Barry
lost
B.
something.
Benson from the B movie.
Okay.
Chuck from the NBC mid-2000s show Chuck. And
Okay.
Jill Valentine from Resident Evil.
My brain isn't working. What am I doing with them? Am I putting them in little boxes?
It's a trick question. Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna pick Barry B. Benson.
All right, we have a solid answer. Okay. This is the second to last question here. You have to choose. Would you rather once a year for the rest of your life have to sword fight, non-lethally sword fight a chimpanzee with a sword? You get to choose what sword. Or every time you get in a car, you have to fight a chicken.
I could fight a chimpanzee once a year. Like, it's non-lethally. Like, they'll probably, like, seriously mess me up. But I'd rather not have to deal with the everyday stress of fighting a chicken.
Understandable.
You know? Like, I mean, like, it's once a year versus, like, every other day. Like, I don't know if getting on the bus counts, but I don't want to be late for work if I'm fighting a chicken.
I would say if it's a communal ride, you are allowed to gang up on the one chicken.
Wait, is it the same chicken every time? Or is it a different chicken? Like, if I kill it...
If you kill it, there's, let's say there's a 50% chance it's the same chicken that comes back from the great beyond.
Okay,
they recross the road the other way.
I want to rephrase this. If I kill the chicken, take it home and eat it, does it get replaced with a new chicken?
It could, yeah.
So I could have infinite chicken if I just keep killing the chickens.
That's true.
Okay, I want the chicken instead, because that's free chicken. Protein's expensive in this economy. I will kill a chicken every time I get in a car.
That's a smart
answer. So I could eat it. I could make so much soup. Like,
soup.
We're hungry? I'll just go get in a car. We'll fight a chicken, we'll have soup for dinner.
Now that's thinking with your noggin, everyone.
Honestly, in this economy?
In this economy? Are you serious? Yeah. People go on. I've had people go on and on about the romanticism of being called away by the once a year spirit of the passion for the sword fight, the intimacy you would develop with this chimp over the years, where you two know each other better than siblings, relatives, or lovers. You two are permanently intertwined, soul to soul by the blades. But the chicken is honestly a much more practical and feasible answer.
I will eat the chicken, like, even if the chicken comes back to life every once in a while, like, same chicken, I'm glad you taste good. Like, I'll see you tomorrow, buddy. I gotta go to the grocery store, so.
Yeah, I mean, look, a chicken was half the reason why I was getting in the car in the first place.
Exactly. It's like, now I just have to pick up some carrots.
Exactly. Alright, and the final question. Most important question of the night.
Okay.
Did you have a good time?
I had a great time.
I am so glad to hear that.
Truly. I was a little nervous, just because I am who I am as a person. Cause I don't know, I've had a bad case of the brain gremlins for a while. But I was happy. I was like, God, what if I just don't have anything to say? Fact of the matter is, usually I have trouble shutting up.
Don't worry about it. That's the beautiful thing about conversations. It's a very back and forth sort of deal.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I had a lot of fun. More fun than I thought I would. Not that I thought I wouldn't have fun, but like sometimes, like, I just, like, I keep my expectations low so that if I exceed them, excellent. If I don't exceed them, I'm exactly where I thought I was gonna be, you know? Like, not to mean, like, I feel like I'm being rude. Not to say that I thought I wouldn't
don't worry
have fun.
about it.
But you know what I mean. I'm just filled with, anxiety.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all in this economy?
So true. All drink to that. So, I am going to drop this real quick. Is there anything else you would like attention drawn to? If you have anything you'd like to plug here at the end of the show.
Well, we are doing a basically like a baby-thon over at my brother's channel, which is Brian the Goblin.
I will line
to
up
raise-
that shout out
Yeah.
as well.
To raise some money up for the arrival of my nephew, who's due mid-February. And one of the things you can get, let me find it. Where is it? Is I'm gonna be giving away some little goobers.
Oh,
There
exciting.
she is. I put her on my head. You can zoom in on the goober.
Oh
There
my
she is.
god, that's wonderful.
She's there.
Look at that little
So
thing.
if you donate, you could get a goober.
Oh, thank you very much, Vic the Goblin, for joining the Fluffle. Hello, dear. All
You could
right.
You get a little goober, and also, if you all don't have any spare money, you can just come say hi. It'll be fun regardless. It'll be 3 days. It's gonna be next week. I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the 26th to the 28th. So it's gonna be really fun. Yeah, it's just gonna be a good time, regardless of whether or not you got any extra money. You can just come hang out.
Absolutely. Oh, that sounds absolutely wonderful. All right, now I'm going to... Come on. Let me do the shout out.
I hate that it makes you wait. Like, don't give me a cooldown timer. Get out of here. Let me yell about my friends.
There we go. So make sure you check out Brian's channel as well, then. Alright. Now, do you happen to know if anyone you would recommend is currently streaming?
I know that Kodoxis is live, and that's probably where I was gonna go hang out after this anyway.
Sure.
Kodo, he's great. I'll drop the link in a second.
Alright.
But Kodo, he's wonderful. He's a cat boy. If you like excitable cat boys with ADHD, then you'll like Kodo. Very, very high energy, very silly. Stays up really late, so if you want someone who's up in the middle of the night, it's Kodo. I sent it to you in Discord.
I haven't gotten it.
Excellent. Kodo also does art, and
Alright.
generally, he's just a sweet, like, really fun person to hang out with.
Oh my god. Was it he? Yes, him. I see it there
He,
now.
him.
All right.
Mhm.
Oh yes, he looks absolutely darling.
So cute, for real.
Alright, so we are gonna be raiding into Kodo's channel in just a moment here. Let me set up this here raid. If you're coming along, here are some raid messages you can use. Anyone can use the first one. If you got a subscription, you can also use the second one. And again, thank you all so much. It has been an absolute delight. I wasn't sure if people would be able to make it with the unorthodox time, but I am so happy that all of you wonderful, wonderful little nibblings showed up and showed out. Thank you all so much. And to my guests, thank you so much, because I could not have possibly done this without you. Thank you for being a fascinating person and a wonderful conversationalist.
Yeah, and again, thanks so much for having me. I was really happy to see all the people from my community coming around to say hi and hang out. That was also really cool. But the raid timer is going to end. As always, He's a cute kid, and I know the kid. That means good night, and see you later.
Goodbye, everyone. Take care. Goodbye.